That's just how I see it. Because like I don't know. A lot of people get it mixed up because right because a lot of times Christians will point the finger, right? You're gonna go to hell for doing this. You're gonna because they're not willing to look inside and see that they still sin, right? No one's perfect. There's only one perfect man. That was Jesus. None of us are perfect.
Okay. And once I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Let's see. Let's see.
How long you been streaming for?
I've been doing this project for like 2 years.
Okay.
And yeah, like basically, like, I'm on a journey to figure out like what I believe in. I'm an agnostic, so like I'm open
Hmm.
minded to God existing, but um,
Okay.
I do lean somewhat atheist because I rely on science and like there's just
Yes.
some contradictions and things that keep me from believing in God.
Yeah, I was there once. I understand.
Oh, you weren't Christian your entire life?
No. No.
Oh. So what changed? What compelled you to believe in Christianity?
The more I looked into the way the universe works, right? Because I wanted to be I wanted to go to NASA and study like the space and everything, right?
Yeah.
There's too many coincidences that are just too perfect for me to believe that it was just random. That boom, Big Bang, nothing, something. There's too many things that line up perfectly, and if they were off, the universe would not work. And the only thing I can think of is an intelligent mind, right? Without Einstein, without Nikola Tesla, we wouldn't have some of the technologies we have because we had a mind behind those things, and then someone improved it further, right?
Yeah.
So by that logic, someone had to create the universe as we know it. And I feel like God put humans on earth to better the earth, right? Which is why we had Eden and all of that before, everything that happened.
Well, that's where I sort of disagree with you on like wait, why is it entailed that like a mind created the universe?
Because,
Yeah, because like I do agree that like humans create stuff and innovate stuff and like our minds can do like amazing things. Um, and oftentimes like Ray Comfort uses this argument. He
yes,
says like, whenever you look at a building, you know that it's a builder. Whenever you look at a painting, you know like a painter painted the painting. But
yeah,
that's because we have priors, right? We're able to see the actual process of what it means to paint or, like what it means to build a building. But when it comes to the universe, we don't really have much priors. Um, we try to like investigate as much as we can going backwards and we end up at like T0, but we
hmm,
can't really go any further than that.
right.
So like I don't there's nothing for me that really indicates that like the universe was created by like a mind. Um, but why would you think so?
I mean, I got to the same conclusion you did, right? And there was nothing else I could come to. So then it was like for me personally, it was like a coin flip, right? It was either don't believe or if everything they're saying is true about God, and me knowing this knowledge, now I'm going to go to hell because I'm gonna not follow. I'd rather not go to hell, right?
Yeah.
So then I did more research, and then I had life experiences that showed me that okay, there's no possible way other than God existing, right? Now
Yeah.
some people could say that doesn't mean it's a Christian God, right? But that's all I've known, right? So I can't speak for anyone else, right? I can only speak for myself.
Wait, but also like it sounds like you're it sounds like you're believing in Christianity because of like Pascal's wager. You're saying that like I don't really know what created the universe, and it could be a god, and like I don't want to go to hell, so like I'm just gonna believe like God created the universe. But I mean, like the reason why I think Pascal's wager is kind of like a bad argument is because yes, like it presents this dichotomy of like you can either be atheist and like if you're right, then there's nothing after death. If you're wrong, you go to hell. But if you're a Christian and you're right, you go to heaven. But if you're wrong, then I mean, like there's really nothing after, just like the atheist. The issue with that is that there's multiple different versions of hell, and like yeah, like I made a video about this. Let me pull something up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I do
Um,
agree with that. I do agree there's multiple versions of hell.
Yeah, like in regards to the different versions of hell, Christianity has its hell, which is going to be Sheol, or it's going to be Gehenna, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
in the Old Testament, it's called Gehenna, and I think in the New Testament it uses Sheol. But
Hmm.
also, like when it comes to like um, Indian religions, they have their versions of hell, such as like Hinduism, Buddhism, or there's another one. Hinduism, Buddhism, or Jainism, they have their versions of hell, and so you have to kind of
Never
like
heard of the
pass a
last one.
wager through like the Indian ones, and then also Islam has its version of hell, and you have to like Pascal's wager through like Islam's versions of hell, and also like even if you choose to be Christian, it's not even guaranteed that like you're gonna make it into heaven, right? In
Right.
Matthew, there's a verse that says like there will be those that say, you know, there will be those that cast out demons in my name. There will be those who call Jesus, Jesus. But, at the gates of heaven, Jesus will say, depart from me, for I do not know you, for you live in wickedness. And
Yes.
so, like, there's some Christians who are Christian their entire lives, but they're not even sure if they're doing the right thing. And, like, they might not make it into hell. So it's not really like a dichotomy. And also, it's kind of still hard as a Christian to make it into heaven. Yeah.
Which I agree with that. I do agree with that, and I know exactly which verse you're talking about. And to that, I would say that that probably applies to the what I would call fake Christians, right? People
Mhm.
who say they're Christian but don't actually believe all the way, right? Because I believe in if you're gonna say you believe in something, then believe in it wholeheartedly, right?
Yeah.
Like don't fake anything. I'm not a fake person, right? When I didn't believe, I didn't believe. You couldn't change my mind, right? Now that I believe, I believe. You can't change my mind. Which I do debate, right? Because I like to hear everybody's point of view, right? I'm not stubborn, right? I like debating. It's fun to hear other people's thoughts. But
Yeah.
to that, I would say that's for that, right? Like you can't say you're a Christian, right? And then when you see someone in need who you could help, just like judge them for being in that position, right?
Yeah, but like also like another thing is just like I think like I don't think God does a good job of like communicating like what He wants to us, right? Like I think the
Yeah.
road to like trying to have a relationship with God or be like a good Christian is a little bit hard because I mean it's kind of weird to me. Like so before Jesus left, He leaves His church. He leaves His church in the hands of Peter. He says, Peter, I'm giving you the keys to heaven. And from
Hmm.
there, Catholics will believe that Peter is like the first pope. Eastern Orthodox might hold to a different thing. But Peter is supposed to carry out the traditions and kind of lead the church, basically. And him and the disciples go out to start, like, forgiving people of their sins and, like, some performing miracles in a sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, prior to Jesus giving the church over to these men, we have two whole books composed of books of humans messing up every single time Jesus or God trusts them to do something, right? So,
Right.
like, why would God trust them to carry out his church, right? Noah, after the flood, got drunk. Several other prophets made mistakes. The best men who served God always make mistakes, right? So essentially, God trusts men, and what we see is the Catholic Church becomes corrupt, like in history, right? And we get like the 95 theses stapled to the Catholic Cathedral in Germany, in Europe.
Yeah.
When Martin Luther rebels, and Martin Luther rebels and he goes off to create what becomes Lutheranism.
Hmm.
Lutheranism? I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Lutheranism, right?
Yeah.
Other people see that he's broken away from the Catholic Church and they're like, oh, if he can rebel, then I can rebel. And I can read the Bible and interpret it the way I want to interpret it and make my own church. And like Jesus trusted men to carry out his traditions. And from that, we have a bunch of councils, we have people arguing, disagreeing on traditions. Catholic Church becomes corrupted a few years later, and Martin Luther breaks away. A bunch of different denominations break away. We have multiple different Bible translations.
Hmm.
And it's like, in order to have a relationship with God, I have to like study the Bible and like look at the historical context and the ancient culture and like do this complicated 1 million side Rubik's cube to sort of figure out what the true message of the Bible is and like what God wants from us. And it's not really an easy task. So
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the first time I've heard someone use that analysis on the situation. A Rubik's cube. That's funny.
yeah,
To that, I would say. if you want to learn another language, you still have to study the text, right? So if you say you at whatever age you are now, I don't need to know your age. You want to learn Japanese, you can't speak Japanese, or you want to learn German. You're gonna have to grab a book, learn how to read it, learn how to write it, learn how to speak it, and then you would be able to communicate with someone who speaks it naturally, right?
Yeah.
I would say that's the equivalent of what the Bible is. And until the deviations, that would be a point or proof of free will, right? Because if we had no free will, then God would be like, no, that's not what I told you to do. Get back in line. And he would force them, right?
Yeah. But I mean, he doesn't really even have to do that. I just think that God could do it like in a better way, right?
Yeah.
Because I think like Jesus came down, and if we're doing like an internal critique of Christianity, Jesus came down and he, walked on water. He brought Lazarus back from the dead, cured leprosy, cast demons into pigs, right?
Yeah.
And he theoretically like unalived and rose again from the dead, right? And
Yeah.
even after doing all of that, there's still words of people still turning from Jesus after seeing all these miracles and seeing like fish and bread multiplied. They still chose to walk away from Jesus. So I think like rather than like leave his church in the hands of humans who it's literally in their nature to mess up,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like rather than do that and have it result in a bunch of confusions, Bible translations, denominations, God could come down every once in a while and clarify the confusion, or have a relationship where he actually reveals himself to us in some sort of way. I don't really think he does. And like I listen to a lot of different testimonies, and they're indistinguishable from like coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
God seems to kind of like deliver his church in word to us in a way that's just really messy, complicated, and he's just very hidden. And it doesn't really resemble like it doesn't really resemble the healthy relationship between like son and father if God is this loving father, right? It kind of resembles like God's our father. He left us by ourselves, and he left us a note that he didn't write. Other people had to write for him, and he's just not around. And if we don't believe in him, he's going to send us to eternal burning and hell for not believing in him, or like doing what he wants us to do, even though he isn't revealing himself to us anytime soon and helping us out or giving us pep talks or advice of any kind, you know?
Yeah. Well, to that, and I gotta leave soon, so I appreciate your time. Uh, to that, I would say if you don't ever seek out a relationship, right? Because a lot of people say it's a religion, right? And I don't believe that it's a religion. I believe it's a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So you get a new girlfriend, right? If you don't keep texting or keep calling to check in, if you don't initiate, and you know how it is nowadays with keeping a relationship, God, I know. If you don't keep intact, it's gonna fade, right?
Yeah.
And over the years, after Jesus died and left the keys in Peter's hand, it it eventually faded, right? Because there were going to be people who didn't believe, right?
Yeah.
And to that, I could show you an example. I worked at a utility company, right? And you ever heard of like water logging? You use like two copper things, and it shows you where the water line is underground. It's pretty cool. You should look it up. I didn't
Yeah.
believe it, right? My supervisor was like, "No, it works," and I was like, "I don't believe it." And I saw him do it. I still didn't believe it. Then he put it in my hand, and it moved my hand to where the water line was, and that was it. I believed it. I would say it's similar to that, right? I
Yeah.
feel like
But
you
I
could
think
apply.
like but like I guess I think like oftentimes it's kind of like one sided, and like
Yeah.
I used to be Roman Catholic,
Okay.
and I started debating atheist after high school at a pizza shop I was working at, and they beat me really bad. I wasn't really a good debater, right? And so I went back
Yeah.
into the community to study, but eventually like I left, and I went from Roman Catholic to nihilist to hard atheist, and then to like agnostic, to what I.
Oh, lost you. I think my service cut.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I got a
Okay.
phone call. Um, but yeah. So I went from Catholic to nihilist to hard atheist to agnostic atheist to agnostic, which I am now. I did change from like an atheist when I joined this app.
Yeah.
I joined as an atheist and now I'm agnostic.
Okay.
But one thing I kind of like realized is, like I used to pray to God for stuff, and sometimes those things would happen, and it could be the case that like God helped with those things, but it could also just equally be the case that it's a coincidence or those things would have happened anyway, and I couldn't really find where God was helping in those things. Um, I think that, oftentimes people are reaching out to God and God is responding in a way that's so vague that it's like you can't really discern whether it's actually him or whether it's just like coincidence or something that was going to happen anyway in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of atheists, I think back in 2017 I read an article about how there's a mass exodus from like Christianity. People are leaving Christianity and starting to believe in other things. And it's just people don't really hear God's voice or feel like God's really answering them. And even some of my peers who are Catholics with me while I was Catholic ended up leaving because we couldn't really feel or hear God. And I think like for a healthy relationship, I think it's supposed to be two people contributing. Like one person communicates and the other person responds, and they can clearly understand the language the other person is speaking. But God doesn't seem to be providing that for people.
I got you. Well, I'm out of time. I appreciate the chat. Keep on doing what you're doing. I respect your respect. A lot of people hop in debates. I don't never join, but they're like coming at each other's throat and violent. But you seem respectful, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, I try my best. I'm kind of like trying to do my own thing, and I think
Yeah.
like I'm gonna run like a pretty chill, like cool show. Today's supposed to be the more fiery debates, but I'm chilling, and then Tuesday's casual talk Tuesday, and casual talk Thursdays is also a thing. So yeah, come back anytime, and yeah, we can talk and go through things.
All righty. Take it easy.
Yeah, I'll follow you back too.
No, thank you.
Cool. Void. How do you feel? I feel like I sort of have a headache, and I feel like I'm kind of pivoting a little bit. I think I'm going from topic to topic. I'm not really staying on topic, but what do you think? Like, am I on point or am I a little bit like flustered? I'm kind of getting back into the rhythm of things. I haven't done 1v1 debates in a while, but you.
Well, what were your
Hmm.
points for it? Like, was it like the standard POE or like
It was more
worship
like
kind of?
divine hiddenness and like
Oh,
God's methods of trying to communicate with us, or like
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
shares.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was like absent-minded. I think, did you stipulate that he's like a perfect god? Because I feel like if you do that, then I'd say the argument follows.
Yeah, like I sort of stipulated that like God is like a father in a sense, or wants to have a relationship with us, and has like certain like power. But I didn't really like go into it. I just said like it's a bit confusing. On one hand, he wants to have a relationship with us, but on the other hand, his methods are very messy and allows for confusion. And like he doesn't really like come to clarify anything or clear anything up. He's kind of just watching it all happen.
Right. Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think that's a fair point. Very
yeah.
standard, niche. Not niche, but very standard point.
Divine hiddenness, just basic. These are like my basic points. But hey guys, there's 8 people in here. If you guys can tap your screens, like the live, share it with people. We're sort of getting back into the rhythm of like doing this, so we got to start somewhere. Starting at 8 or 9 people, totally fine. But eventually, I hope it builds up to like a bigger audience. And yeah, I'm gonna start doing this like weekly. Like I'm gonna have like the usual thing that I do, try to build like an audience and maybe become one of the bigger creators. Also, if you guys can, you see this right here, this handle, it says Day of Debates. Look that up on TikTok. Me and AR and like OG Kylo were 3 creators trying to bring professional debates to TikTok and book like really big guests. And if you guys are interested in debate, if any of you guys like to watch debates or are bored, or maybe you want to be in the debates, you want to debate somebody, like send me a DM, and we host formal debates with timed sections. We have timed openings, timed cross examinations, and also timed closers. And we host tournaments where you can win like $300 or win money. Or we host even different events where you can win money. So tune into those. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna see. I don't think we have another guest, but yeah, I guess we're just waiting for guests. But friendlies are welcome to join. But if a guest shows up, I will like drop you. I don't want to sound rude, but like I am trying to do like 1v1s. At most, I'll keep like one friendly up here. And while Jester was the first person to be here, he's Void of Forge. Do you care if people know that you're Wild Jester while you're on your Void of Forge?
They already know. You're the only one that wasn't up on the uptake.
Yeah. Like everyone knows. They can tell by the voice. That makes sense. But 1K likes Sigma I don't know what that is, but yeah, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I sort of got a headache. I'm gonna take some Tylenol and some water after this. But yeah, we're debating. We're talking about Christianity. Ask me questions in the comment section. But I would do this on my computer, but I'm not sure if I can do it on my computer and also at the same time, like, actually, I think I can. I can do it on my computer and stream it to to Twitch and to YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you can have guests on the computer too. I mean,
Yeah.
just the layout would be completely different.
Yeah, I think I've done it before. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to be doing this and then playing like Fortnite or playing like Wizard 101 or playing like a variety of games while I stream. I'm going to do that. And yeah, call me weird, but trying to be the next Ian or Deconstruction Justin or, big creator doing religious debates. Thank you, Tiny. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts. I really appreciate it. I reinvest it into the project and Day of Debates, and yeah, it helps me to do more of this stuff. But does anyone got any questions for me? Any Christians in the comments? Got anything for me? But by the way, I think those guys are doing a really good job. I think Ian's doing a really good job. Deconstruction Justin's like awesome. I want to debate. I want to host debates. I'm really a fan of people who do it, and they do a really good job at it. They like spread the information, they educate people, they're making money, they're living their life doing what they love. I think that's like an amazing thing. They're the epitome of what a bunch of people are trying to do. Everybody wants to do what they do. So I think it's cool. Respect. Do I Stormy's asking me, do I think God is real? I don't think that God exists. I'm open-minded to God existing, but I'm agnostic. So I believe that humans are incapable of knowing whether God exists, and I don't think we have enough information to know whether God exists. Now, I'm open to having my mind changed. I want Christians to convert me to Christianity. You can try. I'm open-minded to it, but I just see a lot of problems with like the Christian God. I don't find the Greek gods to be believable, but I could dive more into like Greek mythology. I find it very interesting. Zeus, Aphrodite, Percy Jackson was really awesome to read, really awesome to watch in the movie theaters, but I think it's not really like serious Greek mythology. It's kind of like it's Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
But
as for like the polytheistic stuff, it would depend on how they like cash out what they are, and also like it strips away like all of the omniproperties. So I would just give it like the issue with them is that like if they mean literally, then they would be treating the world as alive, as in like it's breathing, it's aware. Yeah.
Isn't the Earth supposed to be like a Titan, or like something like that, right? Like The Earth is
It's
like
a,
alive. Okay.
so if you're talking about like Greek mythology, that's Gaia.
Yeah, yeah, it's Gaia. Yeah, and like Gaia is like super strong and eats Zeus and like all of them, right?
No,
Like,
no, that's Kronos. Kronos was trying to eat all the children, and then Zeus
uh,
kicked his ass.
see, yeah, like
Gaia.
I literally need to touch up on like Greek mythology,
Yeah.
like seriously. But
Gaia was the one who birthed the Titans and like Prometheus and Epitheus and yeah.
yeah. I know about the gods. I know like the big three is Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. And then Hera is the wife to Zeus that Zeus always cheats on. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that Zeus had schmecks with a snake to cheat on Hera.
You know what? I'm just gonna grant that because it's probably true. He
But I have
gold
to,
was a goal for him. Okay, like he turned himself into a swan
yeah,
to f a woman who turned herself into a duck.
yeah, like Zeus is rampantly like having schmecks with different
He's not the
animals,
only.
and he's not the only one. There's more.
No, he's not the only one. Pan does it. Poseidon made a woman so lustful to the point she effed the horse. Uh,
Damn.
yeah.
But no, like Greek
The
mythology is like
only
really cool.
the only deity that's like completely celibate would be what's her name? Hestia.
Oh. Also, really quick, let me answer this one question. Paul Vibes asked me, Coco, did you tell Forrest to shut your BA up? No, I would never say that to Forrest unless I was joking. I think Forrest is like really cool. No, Forrest is a top notch dude. I've been taking notes on like some of Forrest's arguments, low key. But yeah, I've been like watching Ian's live and taking some notes, watching Forrest taking some notes, and then like kind of checking what they say. I'm like, I don't know, doing research, trying to see if I can get my debate skills up. But yeah, I mainly host debates and promote them and edit videos. That's kind of what I'm good at. But I do want to be good at debating, so probably should get back into this. Bart is having, I don't really think Bart's like a great person. I'm not gonna lie. There was like a lot of accusations that came out with him bothering women, and now he's back. But
I bet you I can still find the videos where like he called someone who a friend of mine who is also like very educated in science and all that, darling constantly, and I can probably screenshot them again.
literally, yeah, like there's so much of that, and yeah, he's back.
I screenshotted where he called me darling, so there's that. And I also screenshotted where he called someone else's darling like just the other day, so
And it's. I mean, like I don't really know what to say. He blocked B because he was mad at me, and then he came back, and I said like I don't really want to be friends with you, and he's back, knowing people again. So Bart's lighting the internet on fire.
So Coco, I'm actually friends with someone who likes Ayn Rand, right? And then she has a whole server, and like she goes on TikTok live, right?
Yeah.
She said that she is an objectivist, and then Bart was there, and Bart was like W. So.
Oh, okay. Here, let me see the next guest. Okay, let me get the next guest. I'll get to you, BTA. Just give me 1 sec. Let me handle this guest. Hold on. Oh, darn it. Like, I hit accept. Did they join? No? Okay. Well, they didn't join. BTA, you're out. BTA, what's up? I would say just as... Okay, wait, hold on. Let me answer this. I would say... Darn it, he dropped. Okay, totally fine. I'll bring you back up, BTA. I would say just ask God in prayer and be open to listening with your heart. Don't take my word for it. Ask him. A lot of Christians say that, and I do appreciate the sentiment. But at the same time, like, I'm in the party of people who did pray to God and ask Him for help in some of the darkest times in my life, and He never really answered my prayer in a way that like I could understand, or in a way that wasn't a coincidence, or in a way that wasn't like vague, right? I think like if God wants to have a relationship with me and He loves me and He cares about me, He would communicate in a way where I could clearly understand that it was Him, and it would compel me to like believe in Him, and I could still have the freedom of choice to like not believe in Him. But God doesn't really do that. God's very hidden. God doesn't really communicate with people. He's kind of hard to reach. He's not really like a cell phone number away. I did pray to God. I did beg God for like answers or guidance in life, and God didn't really give me the motivational speech. So I'm not really too interested in praying again. But maybe one day I mean, not gonna lie, there have been days where I've thought like, today's very tough. Let me get on my knees and like pray to God again and give it a try again. But I just never really did. I'm not too compelled to like pray again and give God another chance. Life has been a raging asshole, and I've been fighting my way to this point, and God's not really helping me or giving me a motivational talk. He's kind of just watching all this happen, and he's a quiet dad. He's a quiet dad up there, doing kind of nothing. But oh, were you gonna say anything on that, Void?
No, I was making it funny.
Oh, yeah. But
I was saying, like, we live in America. Of course, life is freaking.
yeah, for real. Like, power to this, power to the social. No, I'm kidding. Power to the liberals. Jesus Christ, the conservatives. What are we gonna do with them? But what's that BTA?
So like, what's up? So you should return to the. Sorry, It's been a good night. It's been a good night, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, no, it's fine. I won't make an ass out of myself. But
I don't
so
know what you're saying.
yeah. Whenever the theist is saying things like, "Oh, if God were to reveal Himself, like that would take away your free will," right? We have plenty of times where God is like explicitly talking to people, right? Showing evidence He exists. And like they have like Moses just straight up not giving a shit in certain cases, right? So that just kind of like makes the argument fall flat on its face. Because if Moses can do it, then any human can do it, right? So the whole like divine hiddenness will like always remain a problem. Because God has shown that He will reveal Himself to certain entities, but for some odd reason, He just doesn't do it to the people that need it the most. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah, for real.
It's
Yeah.
very strange.
No,
You're
no,
like if anything, like
sorry.
sorry, not like if anything, like you would want me to be converted most of all, right? Like, why wouldn't you like go to me first, right? Like, why does Moses get this like special, like revelation where he's like convinced and he's like, oh, God exists, and then it's like Braden's like, nah, like you don't get that shit. I don't know why.
Yeah, there was like I'm typing on my computer. Um, there's Bible verses about God celebrating more for like the really lost or corrupt sheep rather than the ones that are kind of like easy to return to Him. Um,
Yeah.
like the shepherd celebrates at finding the one lamb, while he has many lambs, right? Um, and again, like yeah, like I think when it comes to a relationship, right? People say God wants a relationship with us. A relationship is two sided. It reminds me of like that Da Vinci painting where there's two hands reaching out. I think oftentimes humans are like reaching out for God, and God is like barely reaching out His hand or not reaching out at all. He doesn't communicate in a way where like I can notice Him and I can be like, I understand the language you're speaking, and like you want to have a relationship with me. And He's all powerful. He's all knowing. He's omnipresent. He's omnibenevolent. He has all these abilities, and He knows how to communicate to me in a way where I would be convinced that He exists. And He just chooses not to really do that. And so I have to like crack open the 2,000-year-old book of ancient riddles and try to figure out like whether God exists. And so
Well, yeah,
that's a bit weird.
like why didn't God make this book in like kind of like a God language, right? Like why is there so many like he knows there's going to be like translation errors or something like that. It's going to lead to more confusion. So what he could have done is given the Bible or given like all of these texts to like the people and be like, hey, write it down in this language I'm about to give you. Everyone will understand. It'll be all so simple. And like more people get led to me, right? Which is like what the I guarantee the Christians are gonna deem as like the highest good, right? Getting into heaven, following Christ, all that yada yada. But
Yeah.
God's like, no, let's do it the hard way, right? Let's have people argue over translation errors. Let's have them like argue over different denominations. Like, no, dog, just like make it simple, right? And then like they're not making it simple, right?
Yeah. It literally is like God left us with a letter that he didn't write. Other people had to write for him. Jesus wrote nothing. When it comes to that letter, we don't know who the authors of the Gospels are unless we trust early tradition. Um, and I mean, frankly, I'm not even sure if we know who the authors of the Old Testament are. I guess we do, but like, I mean, they're ancient people that are so far removed. Um, and yeah, it's just we have to investigate this puzzle, right? People who are part of Judaism, they believe different things about the Bible. They believe that some stories are not literal and like, certain things didn't happen and Jesus isn't really like God fulfilling prophecies. But then you talk to Christians and they're like, God is fulfilling these prophecies from the Old Testament. And amongst the Christians, we have different interpretations and different branches. Mormons, Lutherans, Catholics, Eastern Orthodox, Jehovah Witness. I'm not sure if evangelicals is like a branch of their own, but that could be. And then also like Baptist, different denominations of things. It's just very confusing, and we're sitting here trying to crack the code and figure out if God exists. And God is kind of just like sitting on a couch in heaven, waiting for us to come to Him, not doing anything to help or clarify anything. So
Like why is there even a code in the first place? Like if I want to talk to my friend, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, hey, like I'm gonna make up this random secret language. You're gonna have to decipher all these symbols and shit. No, I'm gonna be like, hey, like Marty, like let's go to Taco Bell or something, right?
yeah,
Like let's make it simple as possible, right? That's the whole point of communication is to like simplify things. That way you can get what your well, sorry. Get your point across, right, to like the average person.
yeah.
And God is seeming to not do that at all, right? It seems like it's like intentionally complex as possible. When it can't be, right? It can be like a different, state of affairs or whatever.
And like the reason it's so bad is like God made a religion where humans write down stuff in this book, and it seems like a man-made religion in a world of man-made religions. And like you're right, like if I was a father to my son and I wanted to communicate with my son in a way that showed that I loved him and I cared about him, right, I would be in his presence. I would communicate clearly to him and make sure that he understands the language. I would make him feel like I'm always there and ready to help him or give him a motivational talk. Like there's a
Hmm.
relationship between father and son that seems caring, right? But God's relationship is lacking, like at worst, right?
Yeah.
There's even Christians who pray to God and they're like, I don't even feel like God is here. I have to like hang on and wait till those moments where I feel like God is present. Um, and I mean, those are just moments of joy, bliss, maybe things are going better for them in life. But like, it's like even Christians who are devoted to God don't really know whether He's actually there. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like it's like I don't know how to explain. It's like if your parents got like divorced, or something like that, and like you have your dad, and he's like, well, like I really want a relationship with you, and he's like, but I can only see you on like Tuesday at like 7 p.m. In this very specific area that you don't have much access to, and that's the
yeah,
only time. But like I want to be around you. Like no, that you deem that to be like an absentee father. But like the Christians like, oh no, like dude, he like loves us, and it's like no,
Yeah.
like it like if you want a true relationship with somebody, you like make the effort, right? And it seems like the theist is making a considerable amount of effort, but like God is kind of like, oh well, like I'll try, like I'll do my best here, but he's not doing his best because he's all
And,
powerful.
yeah, and like I mean like to even say that God even like gave you directions is even like, I mean, that's a stretch. Like it's like God is the type of father that you're like, hey, I want to have a relationship with you, and then God is like, okay, I want to have a relationship with you, but I'm not gonna write you a letter. I'm gonna have somebody else write the letter, and you have to like cross the mountain and like venture through like deserts and like navigate through random cities and deal with poisonous snakes and like earthquakes and shit, and get to this secret location that like is kind of, again, yeah, like you said, unaccessible. So yeah, it's a whole thing to really interpret the message and to get to that relationship with God. And yeah, he's very hidden.
Yeah, like if you were like dating someone and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like talk the whole time, but like if you were
Yeah.
to have a relationship with somebody, right? And like let's take for example, like I'm married, right? So if my wife were to make our relationship super hard by like not communicating with me and making everything like this massive mystery, I wouldn't want to hang around her or like be married, right? Because it'd be like, oh, like you're being like willfully, you're being intentionally like, trying to, what's the word? Like you're being intentionally,
Distant.
yeah, distant, right? You're literally making this as like hard as physically possible, right? So why would I want to pursue something that's like super distant, super difficult, and like you're not really giving me anything back, right? The only thing I'm actually getting back is my own like coping and rationalization of your like absence, right? Which is what I think the theist does when they say things like, "Oh, like his ways are beyond our understanding." It's like, no, like he could just make it within our understanding. Like he very well could. I don't see the issue in that,
On
right? Because
God.
he made it within Moses' understanding
Mm-hmm.
by giving him like commandments. So either like the commandments he gave were like unintelligible, which they're not, or he's just being willfully distant, which is like obviously it seems to be the case.
Yeah, like he literally carved the Ten Commandments into stone. He literally spoke through a burning bush. He came down as Jesus and told people what they were doing wrong. Um, God's ways don't have to be beyond our understanding. God chooses to be very distant and like not explaining. And yeah, like why would I want to have a relationship with somebody that I sit here and I beg them and I give them all this love and oh man, they're so awesome. And like it's like Christians have to do this post hoc thing. They believe that God exists, and then they kind of like assign this meaning to like all the good things that happen in their lives. Like God did it and God did it and God did it, but there's no way to really show that God actually came down and did this thing or any power was involved. We have to just like trust and like do the work for God to show that he actually cares about us. God isn't really doing the work to show that he actually cares about us.
Yeah, like I just don't understand. That's why like if anything like I think a theist has more like probable cause to say it's like a deistic god, right? Because like it makes more sense, right? Like he's like absent, like he created things and then he just kind of like left, right? That makes more sense to me in line with what God seems to be like actually doing. Um, because like a deistic God is just like an absent, it'd be like an absent father, right? And the absent father doesn't want anything to do with you, even though you continue to like pursue this relationship. It just makes more sense, right? And you're like, oh, okay, like he really doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, but yeah, it was nice talking to you. Remind me again, you're atheist, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm
I changed. But I
agnostic.
used to be somber. I used to be somber.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's nice having you. I'm gonna
Mhm.
drop you and get to the other guest, but come back later when I have like no guest, or on Friday I'll be doing like panels where
Okay.
anybody can join. So, but yeah, I'm trying to like be consistent and try to
I know
grow
you're
my
good.
audience, I guess.
All right. Later, Coco.
But yeah, it was a joy talking to you.
Same.
Yeah, but thank you guys for being here. We have a record tonight. We have 16 people in the live. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But I've had bigger numbers, but I haven't been live for a while, and I'm very inconsistent with what I do on my live. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing more often and weekly. But tonight, yeah, we have a record of 16 people in the live, and I appreciate every single one of you guys being here. We're gonna move on to the next guest, but just a couple of things. If you're into professional debates, follow this account on TikTok. It's called Day of Debates, and send us a DM if you want to debate somebody. I'm working with two other creators to host professional debates on TikTok, and we've done a lot of work. Posted videos on YouTube, and we recently had a tournament where Cage won $300, and he told us to send it to a certain organization, and we did, and or he could have just taken the money. So we're gonna host more events like that, formal debates, professional debates with timed openers, cross examination, and closers. So if you're interested in that, you want to debate somebody, let me know. I can set up the matchup, and we're trying to get more celebrity guests on that page. And I'm also going to be hosting events on this account as well. But thank you guys for being here. If you can, tap the screen. And also thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it. I'm going to reinvest it into my project. Kaleidoscope says, "You're doing great. Trust your intuition. I think you got a pretty good mindset." Thank you so much. I think skepticism is the way to truth. If you're not questioning what you believe in and challenging it as frequently as possible, then are you really seeking the truth? Or are you just seeking something to believe in? I think it's important to ask questions. It's important to rebel. A little bit of rebellion is not bad. I think it's important to, ask yourself questions, challenge your beliefs, rebel. Sometimes in certain Christian societies, that's discouraged, which is very sad. But the only way to find truth, the only way to determine what's true and what's not true is to ask questions and to rebel. Daniel joined the live. Daniel, good to see you, man. It's an honor. Daniel's a really cool creator. I love Daniel. I need to go on his lives more often, but I'm always busy, like hosting events or doing something. I need to really tune into a lot of my friends' different lives. But there's a lot of creators who are doing good work. Daniel is one of them. I learn from those creators. I look up to those creators. They were doing it before me. Honor the goats. But I'm gonna bring up the next guest. I'm literally just yapping. It's been such a long time. Haven't gone live for a while. What am I even saying? But we can go to the next person. I don't know who was first. I think it was this person. But wait, I click accept. I'm accepting the request, but I don't see them popping up. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna go to the next person. I think it was Yuji. What's up, Yuji? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Yugi. Yugi, like the
Yu-Gi-Oh?
anime character. What's up?
Oh, let's go. Yeah, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid and collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yep. So you already know. Apparently, they dropped a new format, so I think it's gonna pop off again. Hopefully.
Okay, I might get back into it. I've looked into other things like Magic the Gathering, but Magic the Gathering seems really complicated. One of my friends asked me to play D&D. I could, I guess, but I don't even know where to start. Pokemon cards are cool, but yeah, I'm into all this.
Heck yeah. That's what's up, man. Same here. So, I guess we'll stick with the prompt for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess my only question for you would be, do you believe that Jesus did not exist?
I grant that Jesus existed because there was so much literature written about him that I could grant that there was some kind of apocalyptic preacher that was walking around during that time.
Okay.
I think in regards to, well, okay, I guess I'll leave it at there. But I guess I was gonna say I don't think he's divine, right? So any of his miracles, I don't think there are no accounts of him multiplying fish and bread or casting demons into pigs. There's no firsthand accounts of those things. So I think in order to prove that he was divine, a lot of Christians have to center on the resurrection. And if they can somehow justify the resurrection, then they can sort of add in those other miracles that don't have first person encounters. Because if he rose from the dead, then why couldn't he do other magical things? But yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was gonna say anyone who is going to take, let's say, the New Testament as reliable would have to presuppose that the supernatural claims within it are true in order for it to be feasible, right? Like logical.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So obviously, like, miracle. If God exists, would you, for the sake of the, I understand that. I'm assuming you don't believe in the supernatural before I even continue. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I'm an agnostic. So I'm open-minded to God existing, but like I don't really believe in God.
Okay, fair enough. Because I think that's where the divide tends to happen in these dialogues is, one side presupposes the supernatural exists or believes that the supernatural exists, and the other doesn't. And so what ends up happening is you'll have people, this is how we came to the conclusion of the historical Jesus in scholarship. They'll say, hey, look, we'll grant that Jesus existed, but the supernatural stuff, nah, we don't take that as serious.
Yeah.
We kind of leave it at that. So
Now, there are people
Yeah.
who are doing there are people I know who are doing really good work to show that like Jesus or Paul didn't exist. There's a friend that I know named Christ Before Jesus, and he uses like a stylometry in regards to interpret, like looking at text and trying to and investigate the styles in which it was written. And there's like a whole process. There's a whole thing I don't understand there, but I think he's doing very good work. He's very well studied, and I think he's released books trying to show
Yeah.
that Jesus and Paul didn't exist.
I talked to him before, and I asked him to like give his theory as to how it was like kind of like invented. There's a problem with his. I mean, I don't want to talk about him when he's not here to defend himself. So I think it's fair to like kind of leave it there, right? Because I don't want to. Yeah, it would be unfair for me to like say all these things, but basically, what I want to bring forth to you is, if it logically follows that if God exists, the supernatural elements of the Bible exists, it would be a reason to believe it, but it wouldn't be like, how do I put this? It's still fundamentally like a difference in worldview. You know what I mean? Because even still, like, there are people, for example, who believe in the supernatural, believe Jesus was a real person, but that doesn't make them a Christian. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I've heard of people who like believe Jesus existed, but like they're not Christian. If anything, like Jews who believe in Judaism, or like well, what do you call it? Rabbis believe Jesus
Right.
was a real person, but like he didn't do the miracles or he wasn't God. But
Yeah. Like they'll say he wasn't the actual Messiah; he was a heretic.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess so let me ask you this: are you open to deities existing, plural? So let's say, like, could it be possible that spirits exist? Could it be possible that like some sort of incorporeal being, like a soul, exists? What do you think about that?
I'm like, yeah, like I'm open. I'm open to those things existing as long as there's like evidence for it. But like oftentimes, like Christians on this app will say like, you have a soul, and they'll be like, what is a soul? And they'll be like, well, I don't really know. And like I'm like, okay, so where is it? Like how can I see it? Can I look at it under a telescope? Can I feel it? Can I touch it? They're like, I don't really know where the soul is. I'm like, okay,
Right.
well, I don't really have a reason to believe in it if I don't have evidence. So, some Christians will even try to say the soul is consciousness, but I kind of have a belief about that. I think consciousness is just derivative of like the brain. I think like consciousness is something that emerges from our brains that have gone through like years and years of evolution to be able to develop consciousness.
Okay. So I guess, like, if you're open to it, what is it that's unique in Christianity versus the other worldviews? Because most of them would agree, like, for example, like all religions agree on some element of the supernatural. I think like maybe atheistic, like Buddhists, who treat it more as a philosophy, won't. But for the most part, majority since like antiquity, we've had some sort of like view of a supernatural element because, and I think you would agree, like, or I don't know if you would agree. Let me ask you this: it wouldn't it be like problematic to say that something that is inherently immaterial can't be proven empirically, right? It would be difficult to demonstrate something that already on its face, theologically speaking, can't be demonstrated materialistically. You know what I mean? It's like hard to prove something that you can't physically see.
Yeah,
So it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's inherently the methodology to discover it is already problematic since it's not material. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. So if something's not material, like yeah, I totally understand. Like it's kind of hard to prove it empirically, but maybe you could prove it via like some kind of philosophical or logical argument, or
Fair.
um, I guess maybe you could measure it in some sort of way, but like I don't really think so. But yeah, like
Okay.
I guess I'm just kind of looking for like an evidence that would grant some kind of like necessity for a soul existing, or like something immaterial existing, or maybe we can measure it or interact with it with our sensory data. But other than
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair. Fair. So then. Okay. Wow. Yeah. You're like the most open person I talk to. Okay. Let me see how I can even go this route now, because you're not like completely closed off. So it's actually more difficult. Okay. So then.
I try
I
to
don't
be.
even think I have anything that's. It sounds like you're on a journey. How about this?
Are you
So
or are
yeah,
you a
tell me.
Christian by any chance?
Yeah, yeah, I am. Yeah,
Oh, okay. And you believe Jesus rose from the dead?
I do. I do believe that. Yeah. I would say that it's a different. So the Christian claim is that Jesus' resurrection isn't just like coming back to life. It's a like he has a ontologically different kind of body. It's essentially a body that won't die again, right? So just for the sheer fact that I believe the supernatural exists. I definitely don't think it's like improbable or illogical or impossible for such an event to occur. I guess the problem is I would have to like demonstrate that it's even feasible. You know what I mean? Because I can't absolutely prove it to you. I can't put it in front of you and say, "Hey, look, boom, supernatural." But I can definitely, I think, walk down arguments to make it seem more probable. You know?
Maybe, yeah. Like arguments can make it more probable, or like any literature that you might have access to. Um,
Sure, sure. So there, it depends on where you want to go. I guess one route I can go, and I'll ask you, is like, let's say supernatural experiences in general, right? Are you more leaning towards that they're naturalistically explained, like there could be like chemicals, or it could just be in their head?
I
Would
would
you say
say,
that?
yeah, given like priors, yeah, given priors, which I can dive into if you want me to.
No, I'm familiar with the position. I'm curious what you think about this. Would you agree with me that although there are cases in which visions, experiences, hallucinations, etc., can be naturalistically explained. Uh, does that necessarily mean that every single supernatural case that's reported is ultimately explained naturally? Like, would you say that like they're always that way?
Mm, not necessarily. So I would say that
Okay.
there are instances where we have gone through so many medical records. We have done everything we can to try to see if there's some kind of like naturalistic explanation, and we just don't come to like a naturalistic explanation for like why certain things occur. But the reason I'm not quick to say like, oh, then it must be like God or something, is that given history, right? Like given time, we're able to like explain those kinds of things. So we used to think that people who had schizophrenia, people who hear voices that aren't actually there, that they were possessed by demons, right? But then if you give them like a couple hundred
Right.
years, right, and we study biology further and neurology, we find out that there's something neurological that's happening that's causing these people to um, hear voices, right? So I think that, there's a lot of cases like this, right? There are people who said that Jesus spoke to them in a dream, and we found out that they were con artists, and they wrote a whole book and had a book deal for like something that they made up, right? That wasn't true. And there's a lot of visions that we are able to explain. There's this guy on YouTube who watched videos about hell before going to sleep, then had a dream about God talking to him about hell when he went to sleep, and he equated that to God speaking to him, rather than like, maybe I influenced my subconscious to have this dream about hell. So like there's some kind of connection between watching YouTube videos about hell before you go to sleep, and then having a dream about hell when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
yeah.
So let me ask you this then. In the cases which there are, granted, I gotta have the information with me to present, but would you grant me for the sake of the argument, because I can't prove it right now, I'd have to like skim through my phone, um, where there are cases in which those who have like schizophrenia or some sort of hallucinations, they do not show any brain waves that are consistent with those who typically do. So, say for example, there is someone who, hey, look, I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things, but when we scan their brain, there's nothing there, right? Because it doesn't always necessarily need to be the case that there's some sort of, brain activity when they're having these experiences. Would it be like, from a Christian perspective, do you think it would be like irrational for us to say that, like, hey, this could actually be something immaterial at this point?
I think that I think like you could be open to the possibility of something like immaterial or like God being the cause or a demon being the cause for somebody who is not showing any like brainwave signs typical of like someone with schizophrenia. You could be open to the possibility of something immaterial being the cause of that, but I think to hold to that as a conclusion would be like God of the gaps, just like putting God or some kind of like mythical creature in the spaces of what we don't understand. And yeah, like given priors, my position would be like I'm open-minded to it being a demon or God or some kind of, you know, non-materialistic thing. But given priors, I lean to, I think with further time and study, we might be able to diagnose this person and understand some kind of naturalistic reason behind why this is happening. But we can't conclude that so you can't conclude either way. I think the best approach would be to say like, I don't know, but we're open-minded to possibilities and we should just continue investigation.
Yeah, yeah. Which is like funny enough, like a lot of like peer-reviewed research papers and scientific journals, when they can't conclude anything, that's exactly what they'll say. They'll basically just say, "Hey, look, like we're not going to say it's God. We just really don't know, but it's a phenomenon, right?" Like, and there's a lot of phenomenons that I think are consistent, not just from the Christian worldview, but from a lot of worldviews that I think, again, wouldn't absolutely prove it, but would point towards it. And at least it seems like you're open to the, possibility.
Yeah, and I think that's the most rational thing to do, right? Because like every religion has them. Like a Christian, like Christians will come up to me and say like, "Oh, God visited me in a dream." So I think like the Christian God is trying to speak to me. Okay, well, I mean, in this world we also have the Greek people who believe in Greek mythology have been visited by Aphrodite, Zeus, and Poseidon in a dream. People who believe in the Egyptian gods have dreams about the Egyptian gods. People who believe in Greek gods, Egyptian gods, Norse pagan gods, like have dreams about those, right? So I think that I'm open-minded to the possibility that it could be any of these gods, but also like given priors, given that like further study into science and like biology and anthropology, we've dispelled a lot of like religious rumors. I think like I remain agnostic on these individual cases until I do further research, but I lean towards naturalism because oftentimes science and further discovery has been able to dispel like God of the gaps fallacies and like religious like rumors or superstition.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Fair. So let me bring up something that maybe will like you can help me with understand. So let's say for the sake of the conversation, we conclude that naturalism exists, right? Um, and there's no other outside entities at all. Well, I guess like what I struggle with, I wouldn't even say like given naturalism is true. I would say like let's say we have two competing worldviews. We have those who believe in supernaturalism to an extent, and some who believe in naturalism. My personal problem and why I can't like definitively say, and you're not either. That's what I'm saying. Like this is different for me because usually in these panels, atheists kind of go from the mindset of naturalism's absolutely true, right? The problem with that is that like me or you or nobody in the known world can empirically verify every single case. You know what I mean? Like we can't go back in time and literally see whether or not Moses split the Red Sea. We can't. You know what I mean? And until we can, we're both kind of just speculating. You get where I'm coming from? So it's like a frustration for me to say like naturalism skepticism, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, like I question the things I believe. Also, my phone, I'm gonna plug it into the charger. It has the low battery thing. But no, there are some atheists that are looking for parsimony, and sometimes I even argue for parsimony. Right? I think like other worldviews can explain the data better than like the Christian worldview, right? So I think what we're doing, what me and you and like everybody who debates or has conversations about religion are doing, is we see the data. We live in this world. We interact with this world. We see the data, and we're coming up with our worldviews, which are AKA like our maps on like what we think our world is. So some people are gonna believe in objective morality or subjective morality, anti-realist, all these different like philosophical theories and stuff, and we create a
Yeah.
worldview, and we take our personal worldview and compare it to other people's worldviews, or sometimes we're just kind of like dissecting other people's worldviews, like to see like if it maps onto reality the best that it can. I think that there are worldviews that are like more parsimonious than like the Christian worldview. Like somebody could like when it comes to the beginning of the universe, right? Christians have like the presupposition that like God created the universe, Genesis, let there be light, and the universe started, and that could be the case. That's their presupposition. But an atheist can make the same move, right? With like less parts and less intellectual burdens. Christians will say that God existed eternally and he brought the universe into existence. But atheists could say that the universe existed eternally and it just happened to, expand at a certain point, right? Creating all the matter and basic elements that exist in our universe. And that could
Yeah.
be a presupposition. And also like
Yeah.
there's also world models like the infinite regress. Like plenty of people can hold to the infinite regress. And there are other models that have like more parsimony, like less moving parts, but same or more explanatory power for the data that we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like given yeah, so yeah, you're way ahead than most people. Okay, so like given the totality of like all the data, let's say all the arguments, right? I guess where we'll defer is like, are you so far comfortable with, let's say, a naturalistic worldview that asserts the universe existing as just a matter of brute fact,
Yeah.
right? Because there's like a principle, sufficient reason, and explanatory power. Like some people are comfortable with that. I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah, so like I'm like working on my worldview. It's a little bit kind of dead in a sense because I think some of the things I hold to like wink at Christianity or like let Christianity or essentially like lets Christianity win in a sense. Because like I hold to
Yeah.
like I hold to a finite universe because given what we're able to study, right, we can only go as far back as like T0, and then it gets like mathematically and scientifically confusing. So I think like the universe started at T0, and then like I hold to presuppositions like phenomenal conservatism. I believe that my senses are true until I'm given reason to not trust my senses, and I believe objective reality exists. And then yeah, like I think the laws of physics or the laws of science, right, are at play, and they're just like contingent laws about our naturalistic universe. And yeah, like I'm sort of building a worldview and like holding to certain things, but it's still a work in progress. And I'm trying to like tweak little things there. I might eventually start saying that like the universe is eternal to kind of like, ground my universe a little bit better or my map a little bit better. But yeah.
Yeah, because the only argument that's left for you is to say that it exists as just a matter of fact, and then you don't have to like assert any sort of God that created it. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, granted, like you can absolutely hold to that, and right, ain't nobody gonna stop you. It's not like illegal to believe. Well, I mean, it depends where you live, right? But it's not like how do I say? It's a claim. It is a argument, but I guess like I feel like it's a little bit like philosophically flaccid, for lack of a better word, to just say like, hey, look, it just is here. We got no explanation for it. It just is what it is. when given like all the other arguments that are there. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we differ. Like I feel like the arguments in favor for God hints to that being a reasonable conclusion, rather than just saying like, "Hey, all this is nonsense," and it's just we're just here as a matter of brute fact.
Yeah, I think like
You know what I mean?
yeah, I think oftentimes like the issue that I have with like, which I'm open to it, and like it could be the case that like because like the Big Bang Theory is a most reliable theory for like how the universe like expanded. It's not talking about the starting point, but it's a timeline of like how our universe like expanded, and it was made by a Catholic physicist, and it does kind of hint at Genesis, but it's one of our most reliable, and it's also very justified because we can see the universe expanding outwards. We can see like red shift. We can see radiation. It makes sense that like the Big Bang happened. Um, I forgot where I was going with this, but like I sort of like I guess the problem that I have with like God being the reason that all of this is here is because it feels like out of the gaps fallacy, right? We're just throwing God there rather than like saying I don't know. We're supposing that God is the grounding for everything, but what's the justification for that? Um, but
Yeah, like I would agree that and I don't know if you hold to this view or not. I would agree that it would be God of the Caps if there's no, like you said, no justification or logical reasoning for it, right? So for example, like if you have an experience and you just say therefore God, like I would say at that point you are kind of committing God of the Gaps because you haven't even explained or considered alternatives. So I think like when other alternatives are exhausted, I don't think it necessarily is God of the Gaps, but I don't know what you think about that. I don't want to like,
well,
you know what I mean?
well,
View, yeah.
well, like even if you've exhausted like other claims, and they all don't make sense, and you're just coming to this point of like, I don't know, so I'm gonna toss in God because it works. Like I think that would still be a God of the Gaps fallacy. Like you don't know for a fact that God created the universe, so you're just throwing him in there to like fill a gap, that you just don't really know. So it's kind of you're filling up the gap with God. So yeah, it would still be like a God of the Gaps fallacy.
It's like I guess my direct question would be then like, if let's say the Christian God specifically could explain it, is it sure, let's call it God of the Gaps. Would this still be like some sort of unreasonable conclusion though?
I think it would be unreasonable because like one would have no justification for putting God there, but they would just put God there to fill up a gap. And I mean, like if that's the case, like any religion could make the same move, right? Like Islam could just throw Allah in that gap, or like somebody could say like any god from like the Greek mythology could be thrown into that gap, or like any god from the Egyptian mythology could be thrown into that gap. And like there's not really a justification for this. There's just like this need to fill in a gap in our understanding.
Yeah, I guess like that for me. I guess as a Christian, that wouldn't be like a problem for me. It would be a problem, I guess, for those who are searching for like what's the one true religion. But like, Christianity, we have an answer for, at least theological answer, I should say, not an empirical answer, but a theological answer in which like how these other claims of deity, claims of spirits exist. You know what I mean? So we already understand that there's other spirits, there's other entities that could make these claims. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've heard it before where like some people will say, or some Christians, at least on their lower level, will say, yeah, they exist. They're just demons, for example. So it's, you know what I mean? Yeah, like we don't have any, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. Like I get what you're saying, dude. Like I was about to say, like the worst lives I've been in is like literally like I've been doing this for like 2 years, but like I'm a nobody. Like I'm not that big or anything, but like I debate people on their live streams. Like I'll be in a room of like 7 Christians, and like they'll literally say like somebody's having a seizure, and they'll be like, I swear to you, it's demons, man. Demons is bothering this person, and I'm like, have you looked at any medical records or investigated any like alternatives? Right. And they're like, no, I swear, like it's demons. It has to be God. Like they're messing with their brain, and I'm like, this is nonsensical. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I was careful to say like other explanations should be exhausted. And look, like I'm I'm very well aware that unfortunately, like, the church has done a very bad job at training Christians to be able to explain the faith in a way that's like coherent, right? Because you're absolutely right. It's incoherent to just say that's a demon when you're absolutely right. There's plenty of people who have genuine, physical issues or, some sort of, whether it be mental or physical or medical, sometimes even chemical, right? Sometimes what you eat can cause a seizure. So, it's definitely an issue for us to, and it's hurting us. It's making us look anti-intellectual. You know what I mean? And that's why it was a Christian who posited God of the gaps fallacy. He's saying, look, like, if you don't have a reasonable logical conclusion or justification for it, you can't just throw it in there. You need to, kind of exhaust all things. And so I agree with your frustration there that, like, we shouldn't just be throwing it out there without, like you said, like, we didn't verify this guy's medical records. Who are you to make that claim? That's messed up. And it almost like vilifies the person, it's messed up. I agree.
Yeah. But I mean, I think, like, to an extent, like, I think, like, every worldview has presuppositions, but then again, like, presuppositions are kind of like unjustified, and like we should probably investigate or see like whether it's somehow justified to have these presuppositions. I know that doesn't really make sense because presuppositions are literally like unjustified.
Well, it's how we begin reasoning. You're right. Like, we have to start with an axiom, and that axiom presupposes something, and then that's how we come to our conclusions. That's how we're even able to have these conversations to begin with. But I think both sides need to be comfortable with that and saying, hey, look, let's say, presupposing naturalism, what are the logical conclusions, right? Yeah. For me, again, and I'm sure you would have similar critiques on the other side, but for me, like, if, let's say, we begin with the axiom that naturalism is true, right? Like, we begin reasoning from there. I guess, like, and I'm still working on it, maybe you can help me, but, like, starting from there, I really don't know how we could trust anything. It would all just kind of be, like, installed. Now, I hear, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I hear some people say, well, the reason that we know that certain things are true is because it comports with reality. Maybe you've heard that before, right?
Yeah, like, I've heard that. Yeah, okay. From some atheists. Yeah,
but like, if naturalism is true, you were kind of like causally determined to believe that, so it wouldn't even be able to be independently verified. You get what I'm trying to? I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
Like, yeah, like. It makes sense. Like, if you're arguing for like determinism, like, we're kind of like a product of like a cause, and we're just kind of like we're the product of like a causal source of some kind, and we're coming to these conclusions based off of how we're built, and we're just like made to conclude this. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if you make that claim, well, you were determined or naturalistically evolved to believe that anyway. So it's like, we really don't know if it's true, or we may just be, a bunch of predetermined kind of naturally caused agents. And it just, I don't know, for me, it doesn't seem intuitively true, right? We all reason outside of ourselves to verify what's true and what's not true.
No. I totally agree. And I think, like, we should always be asking questions. And I don't know, like, I don't really know what someone could do in that situation other than, like, hold to, like, phenomenal conservatism, just, like, trusting that their senses are true. But that's just kind of, like, either an axiom or a presupposition. Another one that they have to hold to. But...
Yeah, I get it, and I'm sure, and I think we would both agree that, like, there, I will admit there is a level of bias for all of us. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just like as much, just as much as it frustrates me to hear these conclusions, I'm sure it's just as frustrating for the other side to say, well, you can't just say that God gives it to us without sufficiently, like, hashing that out. So I get it, I get it.
Okay, wait, hold on. Wait, Jespo, do you want to come up right now with this guest that I have, or do you want your own time? He wants to run like an argument against naturalism, which I already know it's gonna like be super complicated and over my head, but I'm willing to take the challenge.
Yeah. And by the way, like, I don't want to make an argument from incredulity for the person in the comments. I want you to know I'm not making that. I'm only expressing a frustration. I'm not concluding that naturalism is not true because of that. It's just kind of like it's a hill for me to climb up. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, let me break my rule for a brief moment. I'll allow. Well,
Go
okay,
on.
but you're gonna
So
run Platinga's argument against naturalism.
yeah, I'm gonna do a really basic explanation of it because I don't want it to like go over everybody's head. I don't want to like fill bro stuff. But like Plantinga said, he made the point that if we hold evolution and naturalism to be true, the evolutionary process doesn't optimize for you being able to know what is true. It optimizes for you being able to survive, which doesn't necessarily mean you need to believe true things. Sometimes
Does
it can be advantageous to survival to believe something that's false, right?
does having an accurate picture of reality help you survive?
Not always, right? Like if you can
The
talk about
majority.
overactive, well, you can talk about overactive pattern recognition, right? You could wrongly think that there's a lion in the grass and there isn't.
I was about to say
That's
that.
not, but that's
Wait,
not having. Go ahead.
wait, hold on. Like,
You're the host. Go ahead.
I was about to say that. I think yes and no. I think like understanding reality does help you to survive. So let's say that like you have cancer and you figure out that you have cancer and then you go to the doctor. That helps you to survive. But also there's the case that like maybe you're a caveman in the woods and like let's say the leaves shake and you think that it's a lion or like it's a dangerous animal, right? It might be helpful to run away from the bushes thinking it's this like dangerous animal, but then like a bunny hops out of the bushes. So like
Yeah.
false beliefs help you in a sense to like
Yeah,
survive.
let me help this maybe a little bit. What I would say is evolution optimizes for survival, not in contrary, like not in contradiction to truth. If truth is helpful for survival, it optimizes for that as well. But in instances where truth isn't optimal for survival, it just doesn't care. It's like ambivalent to the idea of truth. And then
Wait,
Plantinger would say something like, "Oh, sorry, go on."
oh no, you're totally good. Let me get Sean in there really quick, and then you go after him and can finish your Plantinga thing.
Yeah, I would argue an accurate. We have an imperfect perception of reality, but in sum and total, we can perceive if a car is coming when we cross the street, or if a lion's chasing us, or if there's water down below. There's like countless examples of how getting an accurate picture of reality, having brains that allow us to perceive reality, and emotions to want to survive are conducive to survival. You might be able
Yeah,
to
no, I
find
agree.
some, yeah, there might be some minute nuances where I come up with this crazy scenario where the opposite is true, but in sum and total, the being able to perceive reality is critical to survival for us.
It's critical. Yeah, I would say it's like not a firm link. It's usually the case that accurate perception of reality is conducive to survival. That's usually the case.
And that's all
But
that
that is
matters.
like, it's like a soft relation. So we can't necessarily trust everything we discern to be true. Like you could
Of
say something
course.
like the passage of time may be completely an illusion. And it feels very real to us. But it may just be the case that time, as we perceive it, isn't how things actually are. It proceeds in like B theory time or something like that.
But
So what?
sorry, go ahead.
Hmm?
I don't want to
No,
interrupt you.
please, please. No, no, no.
Um,
No, I'm liking it. Go ahead.
yeah, so as long as it gives us a good enough perception of reality to help us achieve the age of sexual maturity and produce offspring, that's
Hmm.
natural selection at work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
So again, I would say, um, in situations where correct perception of reality is conducive to survival, we are good at correctly predicting. We are good at correctly analyzing reality. But in cases where it isn't, like it's completely ambivalent to survival, again, like me perceiving the passage of time as it actually is like potentially not conducive to my survival at all. Like it maybe just doesn't matter.
yeah,
In
but
which case, I can't trust my brain to correctly deduce the reality of time.
we can say with a high degree of certainty, though, that your perception of reality, in sum and total, flaws and all, is sufficient and even critical to allowing you to have survived to this point, right?
I would not agree with critical, right? There's some things that are critical, right? Like me perceiving that there is actually fire in front of me, correctly perceiving that
Right.
is in almost all situations critical to my survival. But there are things that aren't. Like you could even go to back to people like Parmenides who think that change is an illusion. We perceive it because it's useful for us, but it like doesn't happen the way we think it does. But then Plantinga started from this premise, and he said, if this is the case, it's kind of self-defeating to posit a naturalist argument for evolution. It's an evolutionary argument against naturalism. If we were not if we didn't evolve selecting for total perception of truth, then we can't really rely on naturalism at all. We can't rely on our own.
I said in sum and total. So let's say you couldn't, you lost your ability to perceive reality. How long would you live?
Well, no, I'm not talking about a total lack, right? I'm talking
Right.
about
Well,
there are some facets of reality that we may perceive to be true that aren't.
right. So like I said, evolution doesn't function in a way to where um, every member of every species has only traits in them, and everything is perfect, absolutely perfect for
You're
survival.
just agreeing with my premises.
No, no. What I'm saying is, in sum and total, when you account for, because our perception is, there's flaws. Our thinking, some critical thinking skills are flawed. When you take everything as a whole, our intelligence is critical, including the flaws. If you put it all together, it allows us to survive.
Only in some circumstances, right? Like here's another example. It bears no relevance on my ability to survive if the universe is eternal or not. That like it cavemen that were still like regularly like doing large amounts of evolution. I assume we're still doing evolution on a very small scale, but when it was much more prevalent, I don't think a caveman ever thought about whether the universe was eternal or not. But now we do think about those things. And my ability to perceive whether the universe is eternal or not isn't necessarily, it probably is correct. But there isn't a certainty to it. I didn't have like an evolutionary reason to like gain the ability to correctly perceive facts necessary to judge whether the universe is eternal or not.
No, it's a byproduct of the Homo sapiens, our main survival trait. Just like no land animal can run as fast as a cheetah, no other animal on Earth can think. Has the intelligence that humans have, and it's allowed us to dominate the entire world. So um, and also the evidence for evolution is absolutely overwhelming. The
Yeah, I
consensus
know. I
is
agree. I
overwhelming.
agree to evolution in every sense of the word. I'm not disagreeing with evolution. It is
Oh,
true.
okay, gotcha. So what?
It
So
it is
what?
clearly true. But my only contention is if we optimize primarily for survival and secondarily we sometimes optimize for truth when it is advantageous for survival, we can't rely on our discernment of truth
Well,
entirely. We can be fairly confident on a few things, but like if time is an illusion, for instance, it might be B theory, whatever. I wasn't given my brain didn't evolve, or sorry, the human species brain didn't evolve to perceive certain truths. Again, I could perceive that there's a lion in a bush, and there's no lion in the bush, but it was evolutionarily advantageous to think there might be.
that's true. That's true. The pattern recognition, but I think it's, and I'm not an evolutionary biologist, so but I
No,
do
me
like to
neither.
read up on that. But I don't believe evolution optimizes necessarily for survival, just that we can survive till maturity. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but to an age where we produce offspring. Anything
Yeah,
above
yeah.
that is not really an evolutionary trait, and we're going to have traits that aren't necessarily evolution dependent, or what have you. So this is leading you to believe. So you believe evolution it explains the diversity of life, but you also are a Christian. I'm going by your symbol
Yeah,
down there.
I would. Yeah, I would say that evolution, as the current scientific consensus agrees to it, I would agree to you. Like, I'm not an evolutionary biologist, so I don't know everything that goes into it, but I trust
Sure.
scientists. I would say
Okay.
something like, all this argument means is that there's a flaw in our epistemology. Like, there's a very weak foundation on it that's based on the idea that we didn't optimize for knowing the truth. It's not to say that we're perceiving something wrongly. It's just the argument. I don't even know if I agree to this argument on a personal level. It's Plantinga's argument.
But also,
But it would
really
just
quick.
mean something like our epistemic foundations aren't secure because we didn't evolve to have good epistemic foundations.
Okay, but really quick, let me jump in real quick. If anyone here wants to do 1v1 with me in the comments, let me know and we'll jump back to that. But yeah, I do need to look into this actually. I think that that's sort of it's sort of a good point, but I probably have to like read on it.
Well,
I'm looking at a
I will say I
Wikipedia
just wanted
article.
to come up and make that point, so I'm not going to ramble on for much longer. So I'll let
Oh,
you.
no, you're totally good. I'm not sure if
I
like in
was,
my like I'm making a worldview, but I'm not sure if I really like. I guess I hold to naturalism, and like yeah, then either I'm gonna believe that our universe was like finite or like the universe was eternal, and I guess yeah, like I would hold to naturalism and evolution, but yeah, like I would have to yeah, I'd have to look into yeah, Alvin Plantinga's evolutionary argument against
the
naturalism.
Here's my
the
position on. Sorry.
Let me
On
give
that.
one more quick caveat. One more quick
Sure.
caveat that I want to say. The reason for this argument is if we evolved only for selection of survival, we don't evolve for selection of good epistemology. So you have to then, like, the fact that we believe we have good ability to discern the truth implies that we weren't just selected for survival. There was some kind of directionality, like we were also directed to know the truth. And Plantinga would say something like, that is better explained by a God hypothesis rather than just evolution by natural selection alone.
Wait, but
But
like
I'll stop rambling. A lot of words.
wait, but don't you think like we might be evolving for survival, but don't you think like evolution could yield way for us to have like the ability to do other things rather than just survive? Like
Oh
think,
yeah, yeah,
or ask questions,
yeah. But like, it's more expected under us being evolved for the purpose of understanding stuff, right? Like, you could have random evolution that just so happened to have a very strong byproduct of us having good ability to discern truth. And we obviously have good ability to discern truth in some ways. I know that fire is in front of me, and it really is in front of me, and I shouldn't walk into it because I won't be alive anymore.
Yeah.
Well, we've
But it,
also developed cures and the ability to do open heart surgery to
yep.
save children that will then live
Mhm.
later. And so what I'm saying is a byproduct of us having such vastly superior brains to other species is in itself a survival instinct. And just a consequence of that is that we also can study the universe and end up being curious beings. And again, I liken it to a cheetah can run 70 miles per hour and no other land animal can run that fast. We just happen to be the top dog when it comes to intellect.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say, well, no, I don't know if I would say it, but Plantinga would say our ability to discern truth is more expected under a not just a direction towards survival, but a direction to be able to discern truth. But I'm getting to my limit of the understanding of the argument anyway. So
No, I
look it
got
up
you.
on Wikipedia.
It's an
Yeah.
interesting it's an interesting perspective. I'm a big fan of not fan, but divine hiddenness is the one that really sticks with me. So, in my opinion, and I think it's well established, belief is not a choice. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are either convinced of a proposition or you're not. Like, you can't
Mm-hmm.
just decide to believe Superman exists and actually believe it. You can't decide to stop believing cars exist. So why is belief such a venerated thing to where it's a moral judgment if you don't believe in God? It makes no sense because you can't control that. And then two, you end up having, if you're born in Iran, you are nearly 100% likely to be Muslim. And conversely, you're like 90 something percent likely to be Buddhist if you were raised in Thailand. So
Yeah.
why doesn't he just give all of us knowledge of his existence if he's actually out there and all powerful and wants us to know he exists?
Yeah, I would clarify that I don't hold a very typical view on hell. I don't think that it makes sense that if someone honestly seeks the truth and comes to the conclusion that God doesn't exist, I don't think they can be morally faulted for that, right? Like they've not done anything wrong. They've done the best that they can. I don't think that that can impute moral culpability. So I would, the Catholic Church also has a doctrine called invincible ignorance, which is if someone didn't have the opportunity, didn't have a sufficient opportunity to find out about Christianity, then they can't be blamed for it.
But
Yeah.
what if I
Um,
did? Go ahead. Someone else wanted to go
Yeah, I
ahead.
got you. I was gonna say to answer. So the thing is, like, in the I guess like in the dialogue, the dialectic, there are different theories on what belief is, of whether or not you choose it or if it's compelled. Now, obviously, like there's strong evidence to suggest that there are certain things you can't choose to believe otherwise. You're absolutely right. You can't believe that. I can't force myself to believe that the moon is made of cheese. Right? I
Right.
can't. Yeah, exactly. I guess when it comes to like the Christian framework, though, it wouldn't necessarily disprove God. It would rather just kind of like change what tradition you hold to. So, for example, like if you believe that that belief is compelled, right? You have a default state, and then let's say you're presented with something that compels you to believe otherwise.
Right.
So, right. So, like you say, hey, look, I don't believe it's raining outside, but then you go outside, you see the rain, you're compelled to now believe that that is true, right?
Correct.
It would definitely have implications for your tradition. So, for example, like if you hold a very deterministic, Calvinistic, Augustinian view, you would believe that it would have to be God who like compels you to believe. And now, obviously, that begs the question on culpability. I think that's a separate topic, but I do want to say that like what you hold to in terms of your framework of how belief works, it may have implications for like what traditional view you hold of it, but I don't think it would like change the biblical framework of how God operates, right? So an Augustinian would say, hey, look, God has to come in some way, shape, or form, whatever that is, whether it be supernaturally or naturally or evidentially, name all the ways that someone becomes a Christian, right? And they are compelled to now believe in God, versus like someone makes a conscious choice to believe, would be like a different framework, would be more like an Arminian slash like free will kind of person who says, hey, look, like, although you can't control what you believe, you are controlled on what you investigate. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're coming from, but
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. And there are Christians like Jesopo, if I'm saying that correctly. Um, there are Christians like him, but the conventional, vastly most common belief is that you must believe in Jesus, and if you don't, you're not going to be saved. And and it's nonsensical to me.
Yeah, like, and this is, and by the way, host, thank you for being so gracious and being consistent, skeptic. You're like a dime a dozen, dude, for real. Because I got to step away, but I'll leave it with this. This is actually the in-house battle that's happening within Christianity. Because, for example, like a consistent Calvinist, which I respect the consistency, although it's like morally icky. When a Calvinist says, "Hey, look, like if a person didn't give their life to Jesus, they're getting what they deserve. They're going to hell," which, like, again, to me, like, raises my eyebrow. But at least they're being, in their framework, theologically consistent. Whereas an Arminian, or maybe like a Christian Universalist, or even some other earlier theologians who were Christians, would say, hey, look, like God is going to judge you essentially according to what you know and what you understand. We can't like make an ultimate declarative statement on salvation. Even as a Christian, like they can say that all day. They ultimately don't know because they're not the arbiter or the judge. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'll say like it's definitely a shared frustration when these people walk around and say, "Hey, like these people are absolutely going to hell, or these people are not going to hell." When like, first of all, you don't know their biases or cognitive states, or you can't make an absolute judgment unless you have all the facts. You know? So
Right.
me personally, like I don't want to assert what I. How do I say this? I don't want to assert what I believe as dogma, but at least according to what I understand in scripture, I really don't see a strong case that could be made to say that like absolutely everyone who's never had a chance to hear Jesus in some capacity
Well,
is like absolutely condemned. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm talking about people like me who have had wide exposure. I'm a former Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's belief is never actually a choice. Now, you can control, like, what is a choice is like, hey, I'm going to open my mind. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to talk to this guy. I'm going to hear these arguments. You can control things that may or may not end up changing your mind, but you can't control or will the consequences of doing those things.
Yeah, yeah, and look, I mean, Jesus like kind of hints towards that. He says like it would have been better for them to not even adhere me than to adhere me, and now they're guilty. You know what I mean? So there seems to be there's wiggle room there to say, hey, look, like is everyone naturally at fault, or are you at fault based upon like what you said? Like, did you even investigate it? Did you even do the work to just dogmatically, declare the souls of people? I agree. Like on the lower level, and in my experience too, it seems anti-intellectual. And I told the host earlier this, like, as a church, like we've done a horrible job at doing that. Like we've got a lot of Christians saying stuff like that when they know they ultimately can't. You
Yeah.
can't make that judgment. Because like you said, like there's already the theory of belief is already open. Nobody really can like say, hey, for 100% certainty, belief is only compelled because I'm sure, and we're all old enough to imagine there are some people who delude themselves to believe things all the time, right? You
Well,
know?
yeah, but I still, it's still, I hold that belief is always compelled.
Okay.
If you find something convincing, you have no choice but to believe. If you find it unconvincing, you cannot choose to believe. And
Right.
like, like with God, when I started doubting, I really wanted to continue believing, and I tried. I just literally couldn't. I prayed, I talked to people, I did a lot of introspection, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and some traditions would say that, and I'm going to assume you're being 100% genuine for the sake of the dialogue. Some
Yeah.
traditions would say you can't really be held morally culpable for something that you genuinely pursued. Like he said earlier, like I'm not even Catholic, but I'll agree that like the Catholics do have a really good point when they say things like, "Hey, there's some people who are very good-willed who, for no reason outside of their own, just weren't able to come to the same conclusion." Can you really ultimately hold them morally culpable as to say someone who did experience God, but then actually explicitly chose to deny them? You know what I mean? There's a big
Yeah.
difference between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, but it would again. I don't see it as choosing to deny him. Like for me, I don't like the idea that when I die, it's just going to be lights out. That shit is scary. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Hey
I
guys,
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. I do have somebody who's requesting. I should
Wants to
probably
one
get
v
back to
one.
1v1s. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure. Hey, thanks for letting us up to have this discussion. By the
Yeah.
way, I want to say I compliment you. You look very young, but you're very thoughtful. You're way ahead of where I was when I was your age. In your search for truth and all that good stuff, and I commend you for that.
I
For
mean,
real.
I'm 27, so like,
Oh yeah, you look like you're like 22, man.
oh
You look
no,
young.
yeah,
But
yeah,
still, that's for 'cause I'm 51, so yeah, you're still ahead of where I was. So yeah, congrats. I followed, and I'll leave you to it.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Good
Actually,
stuff, host.
weren't
Good
you
stuff.
were you the one the other day that was gonna send the video about well, what was it? The video about Platinga's trans world depravity argument on?
Can't remember. I think I remember someone was going to send me some kind of video that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think it might have been you. I still have to send you that video, but yeah, I'll send it to you. It's on my YouTube channel.
All right, sounds good. I don't know if you're following me or not. I'm following you, but if, feel free to follow me, and you'll be able to shoot me a message.
Oh yeah, I will. I follow everybody that follows me.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so, I'll check out your discussion, that upcoming discussion.
Okay, I'll see you around. But yep, we got 9 people in here. No, this has been a pretty cool conversation. I need to now check out Alvin Platinga's evolutionary argument against naturalism. But yeah, I also think that Alvin Platinga's transworld depravity concept is also a pretty good argument against the logical problem of evil. But some people say there are flaws in there. I got to check them out. But if you're here, please tap your screens, like the live, share it with anybody that might be interested. I broke my rule there a little bit and decided to bring more than just one person up for a 1v1, but that was a pretty good discussion. And actually, I think it was pretty worth it. Brandy asked, what is naturalism? I think naturalism is the belief that all that exists is what can be derived from like nature. But let me do a quick Google search and get you like an actual like accurate definition. I don't want to misinform. Naturalism. Naturalism is a philosophical and literary view that there is a single natural world governed by scientific laws and that everything is a product of natural forces such as heredity and environment. Yeah, so basically the belief that everything is derivative of nature. That would be naturalism. Now, that does make me wonder what the definition of physicalism is. It sounds like a physical. The doctrine that the real world consists simply of the physical world. Wait, Void, could a physicalist be a naturalist?
Yes, they're
Oh, yeah,
often
obviously, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But hey, what do you think about that conversation? What do you think about Platinga's evolutionary argument against naturalism?
Dude, I wasn't even tracking. I literally stepped away to brush my teeth.
Oh, okay. That's totally fine. We don't have to talk about it. We'll get back to it later.
I don't even know like any of the like evolution arguments.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I guess we're waiting for ops, and yeah, I'm around. But I don't know how the bigger creators do this. How do they get their stardom? How do they get their what's the word? Notoriety. Should I start insulting more Christians? No, I'm kidding. I have a country.
Or you can just network.
Yeah,
and
network.
just siphon from other people's audiences.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to do all that, but no, yeah.
I mean, that's like the fastest way to do it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't try to make money off of here, because like if I do make money off of here, I'm gonna have to network that precisely.
Oh. But yeah, like but no, yeah. I'm just trying to be consistent. I guess it's gonna be low viewers for a little bit, but I think eventually like it'll pick up. And then usually I'll probably play Fortnite while I debate people. But maybe I should change. Okay, wait. Let me show you my topics. Tell me what you think is interesting. I made like a couple for the new year. So I made like this one. Hold on. I mean, these ones I made like recently, but I made this one. I made this one. Because Christians ask this question a lot, like, why do atheists not believe in God and yet still talk about God? I have an answer. Then there's, why should I believe the Christian God is worthy of worship? Then I think evil is a valid reason for not believing in God. Why are anecdotes good evidence for the Christian God? Why should I believe Jesus rose from the dead? And then I could run Man's topic. Black people can be racist.
That's just trivially true. Not that one. Out of all of them, that's just the lamest one. No.
Like, yeah, but like I hold the same stance, but maybe I'll get people for this one. Maybe I'll get like people in this one. Let's see how this goes. Okay, everyone, like the live, man. Let's do this. No, I'm kidding.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can literally just look up. I forgot this dude's name, but I can literally look up a dude who literally tried to say Buddha means black.
What? What means black?
Buddha.
Buddha,
Like they literally would try to redefine what Buddha means by saying like this is a black and try to make it like black centered culture. It's really fucking weird.
like Buddha.
No, Buddha as in Buddhism. Trying
Oh,
to steal
Buddha.
culture and then like black it, like trying to smear black culture all over it.
Oh no, that's an Indian thing. Oh, we got somebody. Oh wait, did somebody request? If you requested, please request again. I'll bring you up. But yeah, I'm looking for 1v1s. I got a mad headache today, but I'm gonna get some water afterwards. Honestly, being what it is, I might actually start playing Fortnite while I'm waiting for people to show up. But maybe I should do the evil topic. I think for like my plans for the future, if you want to know, there was this company who wanted to do a brand deal with me, and I just never really did it, but they said I could do it like anytime I wanted to. And I think like I'm going to like what I want to do with the problem of evil is I want to like do as much research as I can on it and then like throw it away. You know what I mean? Like I want to get this huge file of a thorough examined problem of evil argument and like do a debate on it and then close that book of my life and look into other reasons why I don't believe in Christianity. You know what I mean?
God,
So,
I hate it. I hate
well,
PoE.
okay.
Not even because it's a bad argument. It's actually a really good argument. It's just it's so overused.
On God, like it literally everyone uses it on TikTok. And like, okay, so like if I was to give you multiple reasons for why I believe in God, like tell me which ones you think are like good. So there's gonna be like so there's problem of evil, there's divine hiddenness, there's like biblical contradictions, there's scientific inaccuracies in the Bible, and like out of those
Scientific,
scientific inaccuracies.
scientific inaccuracies are just trash because like they're they're trash because like a Christian isn't committed to holding them to be like a science textbook, right? They can say like it's allegorical or they can just shove in supernatural stuff in there. So we can just drop that. Unless you have a problem with the term supernatural, which is a different conversation. But if you're saying good reasons, I'd say like we can just throw away the scientific inaccuracies.
Yeah. And then what about Bible contradictions?
Bible contradictions?
I guess that sort of depends on the view of the Bible. Some people say that it's like God told these people. Oh, good.
It would depend on if they treat the Bible as inerrant. If you don't consider the Bible as inerrant, you can get away from that and just say like humans are the ones that effed it over, or you can say like cultural context and God only taught them in the way they could understand, or only apply rules in the way they can understand. That argument might be a little bit flawed because God can do anything, but then Christians could say free will or autonomy, and yeah.
Yeah. So okay, Bible's a contradiction, scientific inaccuracies. Then yeah, there would be like problem of hiddenness or like divine the problem of evil or divine hiddenness.
I think divine hiddenness is probably your best shot.
Yeah, like God being extremely hidden. But I probably need to look. I probably need to read more on divine hiddenness. I only know like a surface level of like what it is, but other than that, and then I wonder like what other arguments like atheists have in regards to like problems with well, logical problem of the Trinity, I guess.
Oh yeah, but that's a huge issue.
Which I
For
think is
me,
pretty. I think it's pretty valid actually.
for me, I'm pretty lazy with my metaphysics. So like, I would just attack the word supernatural, and then if they just mean unknown, I just move on to parsimony.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm very lazy with my freaking thing.
yeah. Wait, Giuseppe, type in the comments. Wait, how do you defeat the logical problem of evil? No, the logical problem against the Trinity. Because I think it's kind of valid in the sense of like um, three persons that share the same essence. But then whenever you go to heaven, right? Like, are you gonna see the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit? Are you gonna see three? Are you gonna see all three persons in the same room and they're all God? Like, you know, is there three gods in front of you, or like is it all the same thing and there's three persons there that all share the same essence? And like, yeah, what am I looking at when I get to heaven? Like, they're one in person, but they're ontologically identical. Wait, no, but they're three persons. There's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh, they're three in person, but identical in ontology. They exist identically. Three persons that exist in the same. That's like saying there's three human beings that are triplets in reality. Like that's like saying like there's triplets that exist. Three persons that exist the same ontologically. Retro, what you got for me?
What's going on?
Oh, doing pretty all right. Running 1v1s, seeing if anyone's interested. But
Here's a topic I want to bring up against Christians.
Go for it.
So, if heaven is supposed to be paradise, then how do we know that when we get there that it's not all screwed up like this world was screwed up and that's first paradise? That the first two people in heaven committed some sin and now everyone in heaven needs to be saved again.
They would just say like you can't sin in heaven.
No.
What?
Yeah, like you can't sin in heaven. Like heaven is without sin, so it would be impossible for anyone to sin in heaven.
Who knows? There may be rules there. Don't eat this tree. God makes another tree that you're not supposed to eat of, and the first two people eat from that tree, and now that starts all over again.
Well, the problem is God is without sin, and God is in heaven. So, yeah, it would just be the whole point is being one with God. Therefore, you can't sin in the paradise that He creates for without sin. Like it wouldn't make sense.
I'm still trying to figure out the problem of the Trinity. I'm reading what Giuseppe was saying, but like
I don't even touch the Trinity because it's very fucking confusing.
The Trinity is not biblical. You need 4th century Neoplatonism for it to work.
Or like messages from the church fathers, apparently.
I mean, they didn't even have the idea of ousia when the Bible was being written. That really needs to develop over time. Some people might have talked about the Trinity, but they didn't explain it in the same way they did at Nicaea.
I think it came later.
Yeah, when I'm talking about the Trinity, I'm talking about what they came up with at Nicaea. And for that you need 4th century Neoplatonism. You need Plotinus influencing people.
Wait, the Hierophant says no, you don't. Omni properties are structural invariants.
That's not responsible.
Hierophant, I think you've like transcended all of us.
Yeah. Actually, legitimately, like, if you can say something, add context, please.
However, we're gonna need you to like. I know you're on level like 30 when it comes to philosophy, but please bring it down to like level 5.
I just don't know who is saying to no, you don't. Like that part is confusing. I get what he's saying, but I don't know who's he responding to
Like
or why he said it.
a lot of us are trying to climb the ladder. We're going to get to level 30 someday. But like we're not level 30 when it comes to philosophy. J Mike's like level like 50 and like we're getting there, but bear with us.
You're really generous with those numbers.
Yeah, coming onto this app it made me realize how much philosophy I've forgotten since grad school.
Well,
Right.
actually, I think it's because I hang out with like 2 people with like Phil degrees that my numbers are a lot less generous than yours, Coco.
No, so someone said that the Trinity is confusing, and I was like, no, the middle
Oh no,
properties are just
I
structural
find
invariants.
I personally find the Trinity as confusing. I didn't. Yeah, that was like a personal statement. That wasn't a truth.
Yeah. But Retro said you had to use like Platonic forms, and no, not necessarily.
No. Neoplatonic.
Yeah.
I forget what Plotinus had for his Trinity.
I'm gonna have to.
But it's all the 3 Usias in one sort of thing.
Yeah.
Same Usia. I haven't looked at that argument in forever. Plotinus is terrible to read.
But in regards to like whose lives are popping right now, Deconstruction Justin has 728 people in his live. Afro Atheist has 138 people in her live, and then Pinkbeard has 140 people in his live. Well, now 148, but yeah, there's a lot of popular creators that are on right now.
We need to get breakfast tacos on a TikTok.
Oh God, I'm a bit hungry. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably gonna get like
talking about the content creator breakfast tacos.
Yeah, I was talking about food, but yeah, we could probably get them in here.
I prefer a breakfast burrito anyway.
Oh, I'm probably gonna get midnight pizza, to be honest with you. Like, I know a place.
What part of the country are you in?
No, Texas.
I don't know how the pizza is. I know when I went to grad school in Oklahoma, the pizza was terrible.
No, New York.
I was raised in the New York side of Connecticut, so I got all that like carryover New York style pizza. People branching out.
I thought New York was the best place in the world for pizza.
I like New Haven pizza better.
Oh, you like bar pizza, huh?
It's not quite bar pizza, but it's close. It's thin crust.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like thin crust. I like stuffed crust, but not stuffed with anything. But like, I like a thick crust.
Greek style, I think. I could be wrong.
But no,
As long as it's not deep dish.
I'm gonna get like. I am not a vegetarian. I am not a vegan. I'm gonna get like a meat lover's pizza. It's my favorite go-to.
I think you could put too many toppings on a pizza. I'm like a one topping guy.
When it comes to meat, I don't think you can put too many on a pizza. Well, no, I don't think you can put too many on a pizza. Pepperoni, sausage.
Do you get the cupped pepperoni?
Huh?
Do you get the cupped pepperoni?
I will eat anything pepperoni.
No, but you know what I'm talking about? The cup. They'll take it and they'll throw the pepperoni in the deep fryer real quick.
Yeah.
And it'll make it like a little cone, and they'll put that on.
It looks like this, basically.
Yeah, and it just holds it. It's a big bucket of grease at this point.
Yeah, no, I'll eat those. Pepperoni, sausage, bacon. I think chicken is the worst on pizza, but like it's not like terrible.
Ham's not great either.
Yeah, like I'll eat it, but it's like these little chunks on the pizza, and like and then what else? Yeah, like ground beef, pork. Love pizza. You're not a vegan, are you, Hierophant?
No, I am a medical pescatarian.
A medical? See, you don't eat fish.
No, I eat fish.
Oh,
I can only eat specific kinds of fish, though. I can't just like go ham and eat just fish. I'm on a low purine diet.
No. What do you what does it mean to be pescatarian again?
Chicken, poultry, and fish.
Oh, okay.
Animals without souls.
Wait,
I don't know about that.
The other animals
I don't know about that. But Coco, you got to realize like what you're doing, what you guys are doing, is fundamentally different from like Afro atheist or deconstruction, like Justin and whatever, right?
Mm.
Because they're just rinse and repeat motherfuckers. They just talk about one subject, and that's it.
Oh.
That's all they do. They're one trick ponies.
Oh. I don't know. I'm trying to be like
They're the anti-Darth.
yeah, I'm trying
And
to
like
be
for someone like
universe.
Justin, the easy counter question is how do you escalate truth in your worldview?
Yeah.
How do you
I'm in the worldview.
how do you go beyond epistemic exclusivity?
Honestly, I was thinking about this is dumb, but if I had like this stupid amounts of money laying around, I could go to college for religion and study all the different religions.
Yep.
But no,
Listen, most
Chicago,
colleges
that's a good
now are offering like you can take the class for like $25, right? But if you want the certificate in the course, it's like an additional $400.
yeah.
Now, if you don't care about the certificates, that's $25 for collegiate level classes. All the information, $25.
And you can get also Bart Ehrman offers courses for like $25 where he has a lecture series.
Do you get the credit? Wait, oh no, the credit's like with the $400.
You can get the credits with the $400 per class, or whatever the college charges. But most of them charge like a nominal fee of like $25 to like $30 per class.
No. Okay,
Hey,
now
since you're
now,
so
Huh?
philosophically sophisticated, I've always wanted to ask somebody, what are your thoughts on moderate foundationalism?
moderate foundationalism.
I've never really thought about it, to be honest.
It's like basically it's one of those justified basic beliefs, and they have to be created spontaneously. So, and using the correct sense data. So I see a table, I go, that's a table. So that's basically justified unless there's a defeater presented. So it can't just be like, well, what if you're in the Matrix? Or it'll be like, no, that's not a table. That's a painting of a table. It's just really good.
I mean, I don't think I necessarily have like any issues with moderate foundationalism.
I'm mostly meaning it as a counter argument to tag.
Ooh, I don't like.
And I go, no, I don't have to go all the way back. I can just go, that's a table.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have to. Like you're making reference to an object that exists. You don't have to talk about the particulars.
Yeah. And if they say, well, how do you know your senses are reliable?
Particulars are included within the object, right?
Yeah.
If I go, that's a rock, I don't have to sit there and be like, that's a collection of carbon, silica, and a whole bunch of other shit. Like I don't have to do that. I can just be like, that's a rock. And so, like, in terms of like epistemics, I have no issue with moderate foundationalism.
Yeah, and you can't bring the well, how do you know your senses are reliable? Well, show me that they're not. Show me that it's not a table.
What I would ask is, aside from your observation, what rubric do you employ to verify that which you believe is true?
Interesting.
I can't remember. I've only studied this a little bit.
That's just like me off.
I mean, that just makes it. I mean, these beliefs are basic. So, I don't know how you verify it. I don't know if there is verification. There's probably is. I don't know. I have to look it up more.
Yeah, well, it ends up being like, what is your philosophy on truth? Like, how do you arrive at truth? Truth values.
I think I'm pretty much a correspondence theory for most things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you don't have to pick one necessarily. There could be different paths to get the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And just like epistemology, I think if you limit yourself to one epistemological theory, there could be different ways to get to knowledge too. But another virtue of moderate foundationalism is I think that that's how most people operate day to day. That's generally how people build beliefs. That's a table. You can't say something like this table's 12 years old. That's not a properly basic belief, because you need to do more. You need to look more into it. But yeah, but the basic belief is that's a table. Then you can go further and figure out if it is a 12-year-old table. But I think that's really how psychologically that's how people arrive at knowledge and beliefs, is just that way.
Mhm. But there are 5 people in here. I really appreciate you guys being in here. I'm playing Fortnite now, and I'm streaming it on YouTube and Twitch while also doing debates. If anyone wants to 1v1 me, feel free. If you guys could, please tap your screens, like the live, share the live. J-Rob, if you're in here, I'll 1v1 J-Rob. But yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. But yeah, I'll be here.
My last gaming system was
1v1
Genesis.
Hmm?
My last gaming system was Genesis.
Oh, that's an old system. But there's.
I mean,
nothing-
my parents had a Wii for when my daughter came over, but I didn't have any games for me.
Oh yeah, I like the old stuff actually. Actually, you guys might find this weird, but like I like dated things, right? Like for one of my birthdays, I wanted a typewriter like really bad.
You can get those used pretty cheap.
Yeah, because like it's just like I love old timey things, and then dude, vinyl. Like I think the best way to listen to music is like vinyl.
Nah, you haven't heard of music till you heard it on 8-track.
Bro, I've never had, or I barely even know what an 8-track is. But we got a guest. Hold on. What you got for me, Franz?
Hi, what are you?
I'm an agnostic.
What is that?
So I believe that we don't have the ability to know whether God exists, and we don't even have enough information to know whether God exists, but I'm open-minded to a God existing. I'm just doing my research.
So you're pretty much an atheist, right?
Psychologically, but not philosophically.
Have you tried to find out from Islam?
Yeah, but I have some issues with Islam, but I do need to read the Quran, like cover to cover. I have a
Have
copy
you
of the
tried to
Quran.
find out from Buddha?
No, I haven't really looked into the Indian religions.
Have you tried to find out from Hindu?
No, I haven't looked into the Indian religion.
So you haven't really tried anything, really?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm more known to, like, Christianity and, like...
Oh,
maybe-
how do you know about Christian?
I was raised Roman Catholic, and so...
Oh, so your
Yeah.
parents raised you, so you're from Christian family?
Yeah.
Oh, how was it?
It was okay. It was fun, actually. Like, I had some good times, but I also had bad times, and things didn't really make sense for me. So I just ended up, like, kind of leaving. But that's, like, the short version of the story.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I left high school, and I started debating some, like, atheists at this pizza job I worked. And they made some really good points. So I did further investigation into Christianity.
What points?
Huh?
What points?
So like there was just some contradictions in the Bible, and
Like what?
Well, for one, I would say like the Bible mentions like God. This is probably gonna be like a bad one, but God's supposed to be the God, not supposed to be the God of confusion, right? Like he's not supposed to be confusing. But there are Bible verses like in the Bible where he mixes the languages or confuses people, or there are Bible verses that say like, let us go down and confuse these individuals. So it's like, how is God not the God of confusion, but he literally confuses people or instructs him and his angels to go down and confuse people?
Oh, the tower?
Yeah, the Tower of Babel.
Yeah. Did you read the whole chapter, or you just read the whole one verse about confusing?
I've read a pretty significant amount of it. I grew up with
Yeah. What was the purpose of it?
Yeah, so the people wanted to build a tower to the sky, right?
Hmm.
And they were getting a little bit prideful, and God decided to confuse the languages so they wouldn't complete the task, to show them that they couldn't be equal to God or on the same level as God.
Okay, that's it.
I mean, yeah, there's probably like more. It's been a while since I read
So
the story.
I think it's pretty clear about that one. I don't know, like what? There's no question about it.
Hey, what's the point you're trying to make?
I mean, like, you're just too easy to be brainwashed, I guess.
Wait, what do you mean? How am I brainwashed?
Like easy, like you're easy peasy. Like, hey, this one, see this verse confused human. So yeah, the God of Christian is false.
I mean,
Oh
am
my
I?
God, you're right. Oh my God, so God confused people. That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna leave Christian.
Well, I mean, like, okay,
That's too easy peasy to me. You're easy, boy.
sure.
That's
I
all I wanna
guess.
say.
Oh, okay. No. Well, I mean, like, you're free to like assume that. I guess I don't really know what to really tell you. I mean, there's multiple reasons why I don't believe in the Christian God, but you didn't really care to like evaluate them. Um, but yeah, there is multiple contradictions. They're in my notes. I just don't really have all of them memorized. I could probably do a better job of that. But yeah, one of them would be like God says he's not the God of confusion, but in certain like verses in the Bible, he does confuse people or instruct his angels to go down to confuse people alongside him. So God's kind of contradicting himself. Like, I'm not the God of confusion, but I'm going to confuse humans intentionally. I think that I find that kind of a little bit weird. Why would a perfect God be contradicting of himself? But I don't know, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm missing something or something. But yeah, guys, I'm here, just chilling, playing Minecraft, so that's why I seem a little bit distracted. But yeah, we're waiting for ops to show up. That's really it. If you look at my Minecraft stream on Twitch, it's probably boring. I'm looking at these weapons and trying to see which ones I want to get, but I'm gonna go explore the rest of the map. But thank you guys for being here. There's 4 people in here. Yo, Jay, come in here, talk with me. But it's been a long time. But I don't know. Like, what would we talk about? But life's good. I'm chilling. I'm alive. I have a headache. Need Tylenol. Oh, we got a guest. There we are. Okay, I need to do like a better job of memorizing my notes. Oftentimes when I'm debating, I'm like looking at my notes. So this is me kind of going off the top of my head. But what's up? What you got for me, Kayla?
It's me.
Oh, who's me?
Volcy's mod. We've talked before.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I know Volsi. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, we're in the same Discord.
Yeah, I know who you are. But hey,
Yeah, I'm sure you put it together.
yeah. Actually, yeah,
I'm like, I think you met me on my other account.
yeah. I even know your Discord.
Yeah, you see my face in the Discord.
Yeah. But yeah, you got anything for me? Any new points? What are your reasons for not believing in Christianity?
Well, outside there not being evidence, which is a big reason why, I've read the Bible and it's bullshit. So
Come to conclusions. But no, I totally get that.
I'm like along with well, I'm like I have okay, so I have an unpopular opinion. It's just for the Christians. Well, it would be typically against the Christians would not agree with this, but but based on what I remember reading in the Bible, and I'm like the person in the Bible that's the bad guy is not the devil but God. I
Yeah.
think the devil is Bible comparatively, which is ironic.
Yeah, I think God does have like a higher death count for sure. Like it's atrocious. The death count.
It's crazy.
Oh God.
Um, and and it's funny, like the way the Bible describes God, right? In any other situation, that would be an abusive relationship, but because they put God on it, all of a sudden, like it's acceptable.
Yeah. No, God acts like a manipulative father, and like Christians like tolerate
It
bad behavior.
does, like an abusive dad,
On God. Like I don't really
literally on
understand
God.
like yeah, I don't really understand like the testing of Adam and Eve. I don't really understand Job. Like
Oh, I'm like, what I love to say the misogynistic male Christians. I'm like, the first thing I asked him, like, oh, you believe in the Adam and Eve story? I said, yes. I said, so since you hate women so much, I want you to take out one of your ribs, put it in dirt, and create a human without the body of a woman. Do it, and I'll believe in your God.
yeah. Without the body of a woman. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But looking for ops. But yeah, I guess like there are other lives that are popping right now, but you know, debating anybody who's willing. Gerald, get in here and talk to me about the problem of evil.
Oh, they'll come.
Gerald, get up here. But no, like I'm thinking like I want to do one final debate on the problem of evil, then never use the argument ever again. And I think my
I've never
opponent.
even heard of that prompt, to be honest.
Oh, the problem of evil.
I mean, I don't think. Maybe I've heard of it, but never in detail. I don't know.
It's like it's like used extensively on TikTok. But
Then I
basically,
probably know it, but not by name.
yeah, it's like so basically there's a logical problem of evil and there's a evidential problem of evil. Now, logical problem of evil is saying that, you know, God can't exist with evil. It's like a contradiction. So that's trying to derive like some kind of contradiction. While like the evidentiary problem of evil is proposing like a hypothetical. Or no, it's proposing a probability.
I've
So
seen that then, yes.
yeah. So given like
I didn't know there was a name for it.
yeah, so it's gonna be like it depends it depends how you define evil, but you know I define it as like how I saw it defined in like a debate that I watched with Exploring Reality and Captain Dadpool. It's just gonna be like all human suffering or the suffering confusion of a certain subject.
Which I
All
agree with.
yeah.
Um, it's funny because I typically do the first one,
Oh, the logical or the evidential?
the logical.
Yeah,
The um, God can't exist if there's evil.
yeah,
Because the truth of the matter is, Christians say that. In fact, it's funny because they say that their God is all loving. So how is it all loving if if God allows evil to exist? How is that love?
yeah. No, I totally agree. Like, how does God like watch and allow evil to exist? Um,
And I don't want to hear free will because God violates free will all over the Bible
on God, like,
constantly.
literally. I don't know why Christians keep like saying like free
That
will.
free will argument it's so because if God knows everything and knows all and can I'm like no matter what you do, then the argument of free will is non and void because
Yeah,
free will implies that you have a choice. If God is the determinant of your destiny, then you have no free will in that.
yeah. No. I totally agree. I think like saying like free will to the problem of evil is like ignorant of like the entire Bible, right? People still had free will, and God came down as Jesus. God literally allowed people the power to like split the Red
hmm
Sea. God sent plagues in the name of the Jews to help with the
up in Egypt, and he absolutely did. We're not gonna forget the unaliving of the firstborn sons of Egypt and of Bethlehem. In
For
fact,
real.
both. Okay, so God
Like,
has no problem violating free will.
make it make sense. Oh God. But I don't know.
There has never been a time in the Bible that he has no problem violating free will. Literally, the first story of Adam and Eve is him violating free will because he doesn't want them to eat from the tree of garden. Literally, because he wants to withhold knowledge from Adam and Eve so that they can't make their own decisions. So you are, in fact, taking away Adam and Eve's free will by by trying to withhold knowledge from Adam and Eve. That is literally antithesis to free will.
Yeah. But looking for ops. But I think, yeah, it's probably the quiet part of the night. Not much. Let's see.
Like, I'm just tired of them using that free will argument. I feel like it's late, and I feel like it's also lazy.
Yeah. No, I agree. Also, I think, like, God knowing, like, future propositions is also, like, a problem. Like, I don't know, like, why he's, like, he knows future propositions and he still chooses to, like, create people and, like, test people. I think I find that to be, like,
Yes.
yeah.
How are you all knowing God and you create your own enemy, the devil?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many contradictions in that.
You created your own problem, and it's like, wait, why? It doesn't really seem like a thing like an all-knowing God would do. But Bobby, is that you?
What do you mean? Is that me?
Oh, what's up? Oh, like you changed your name. Like, I think you're like not Bobby, and like you had a different profile picture.
It was always not Bobby. I just actually got the logic symbol down for once.
Oh,
They're good.
oh, you're kind of muffled.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay, for sending me the proper symbol.
Oh. But yeah, I'm playing Fortnite, and like I guess I was doing 1v1s, but it's kind of like dead now.
Well, congratulations on your first successful day of debate tournament.
Oh yeah, no, that went really well. I think Cage retired. He won the tournament, and then like retired. I don't know.
He apparently apparently he was tough and did way too much studying. I didn't see especially the amount people did bet against Cage and and everything that he was really angry with AR.
Yeah.
And we I think we talked about how like the tournament could be interesting in the future. How in the beginning rounds it should be slightly more fair.
Yeah.
I think it could be more like. Of course, you want to see the S tiers. I don't know. Well, I don't even know. I don't know if I personally care to see like S tiers face off at the last round. I don't actually mind seeing like an S tier versus like a C tier at the last round. I think it's an S tier versus like if a C tier is able to be at the finals facing against an S tier, I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
think it should be like a gradual like journey that the tournament takes you on. From like in the beginning, like everyone's there. Like, wait, did you say you wouldn't want to see S tiers in the first round?
There was so much after this like first tournament. There's been so many complaints on the structure about like how the ranking should have been. And like Cage complained about he had the hardest bracket, and yeah, he did have the hardest bracket. I give Cage that. Like the fact that he won it all is actually pretty impressive. And cause like Just Jim, Divinity, the Mob one, maybe you could say he like Logic Troll. Yeah, that was pretty easy. Mob, fair enough, but Mob did get like a shit ton of help. Then. Jim, yeah, Divinity, yeah, Cage did his thing, but there is like talk about how like it could be more entertaining and better structured. Like I know what AR is trying to do is like follow like similar brackets when it comes to like basketball and stuff like that, where they want to see S tiers at the finals. But I think when honestly, what the like, for example, I think Wisdom versus Forest pulled in a pretty huge crowd. You know, um, when it comes to the role of entertainment, it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter about just having like a bunch of S tiers at the last round. I think it's just what is entertaining. So if you can have, even if you have like a C tier versus an S tier at the finals, I think that could be really entertaining. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be so like structured in a way. You know,
And yeah, like I do believe, yeah, like the Forest versus Wisdom thing, it brought in like a lot of viewers. There were tons of people in there, and like they were like talking so much mad shit before the
yeah.
event happened. That
By the
you
way, weird question. What happened? What happened to John? What's going on?
bought by blood.
Yeah, what's going on between him and AR?
I don't know. I think they're good friends, but he just doesn't really get along with like Wit, and
John doesn't get along with Wit.
yeah, I think he got mad at Wit or in Slums for something. I don't know, but I'm not
Mm.
really. I
The
mean,
John thing was I'm not like extremely clear on it, but it all started, I think, because John was with the Kirk stuff.
Oh, the Charlie Kirk shit.
yeah.
Yeah, and then something behind the scenes happened with John Slurms and Wit or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what, but Wit, or not Wit, Yaya and Slurms have taken a break off of TikTok. And I haven't seen John in a while. John is banned from AR's panel, though. That's why he doesn't show up there.
Oh wait,
So
what?
wait, this is because of some Charlie Kirk shit? Oh,
No,
because of
I
some,
think it's because of something, like, it started because of that, but I'm pretty sure, like, it got a little more heated because of something else. I think, like, John was saying some things that um, other people disagree with, not like some a little personal thing.
Cosmic are like breaking up, bro. You say like what happened with John?
Oh.
You're breaking up. You got like two bars.
It didn't happen because of some political view. Oh, hold
Mm-hmm.
on.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm playing Fortnite, but damn, I'm not sure if this social like. Okay, it's not that like I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna work my ass off and try to make it work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like 50-50 if this like day of debates company is gonna work. You know,
Just just have fun with it. You get that AR is doing some more like adventurous shit, like him, Jack, and Sarah were talking about like doing some like going to all the TikTok communities, the abortion space, the abortion space. What else? The politics space. The what else? Space. The theology space. The philosophy space.
yeah,
You know.
like what we were thinking was, you know how we did a tournament and there was a bracket. What if we had like
Mm-hmm.
4 brackets, right? With like politics topics, and then like theology topics and philosophy topics, and then like
Yeah.
it all came to a
And
final
you all
4
equally like
people.
host it on all channels.
Yeah, and like it came to like a final 4 people, and they would face off for like the championship and the semifinals and the finals. So that's what we were thinking: 4 brackets of.
Yeah, something even more bold. I think that'd be entertaining. Like you've done something that's pretty bold as is. Now do the next step.
Yeah,
Like don't host a nice generic tournament. Just this is actually the next project that you guys should be focusing on, because now this is gonna be even more interesting if you're able to pull it off. If you pull this off, you could be having viewers in the on the thousands. So I think this is actually your actual goal. Now that you've showcased that you can actually do this, and it worked and it was fun and everyone enjoyed it. And like even like Cage was saying that yeah, he was going into other spaces and people were glazing him in other spaces. They're like, damn man, this is the guy that dusted divinity and shit like that in the
yeah,
other spaces. So like clearly word gets around. So
yeah. Like people are talking about it and stuff, and
yeah.
I love that people
So
like what we do.
the next adventure should be to create this
Bigger and better.
this bigger platform. And
It's
now I think this is where the debates will actually explode for you after this.
yeah. And like no, I totally agree. It's kind of like Kai Cenat, right? Like he did the first like streamathon, and then he just kept on topping it and topping it. Like, he's obviously like a 10 times bigger creator than
You gotta
me.
start from somewhere, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, but also like people told me that there wasn't much money in like religious debating and like that kind of stuff. But
No,
I don't know, because like think about it. Like the biggest religious debater is probably Ian. And like, is he making like crazy amounts of money? Yeah, but like Parker's in politics, and he's making stupid money. Like he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do with that money.
politics is one of those weird spaces where it's definitely like a normative, in some sense, because like I could argue someone on their like religious views and stuff like that, and it may not be as controversial. But when you start arguing politics, now this is where people like is more less people are more or less informed. Um, politics is more is equal to like watching football sometimes.
Yeah,
Where philosophy might be equal to like watching tennis,
yeah,
or golf. So it could just be like one has slightly more viewer, but I think um if you're able to if you're able to go to the next step and do this cross platform type deal, um I don't know, do some jubilee type shit with it.
yeah.
I think that's where you really start seeing some interesting shit.
Yeah, I think that would be like the next thing to do. But yeah, no, I think so. And like, I think it should
Also,
go. Go ahead.
I think one thing that I think Parker, ironically, like I don't think Parker or Dean are that good of a debater. I was actually surprised that one time Dean was debating Slim,
Yeah,
and I was like, you know what? I'm surprised he even knows these concepts, like these words. So he's somewhat familiar, but I was expecting to do a lot worse against Slim, to be honest. But I don't know if it takes much to be that good in politics. That's his field, but he doesn't know what. Like, if you want to grow your channel perspective, I think you should do like just videos. Like I was talking, AR was also. I was giving the same advice to AR. Just do more like GT.
yeah. Oh, I know
The,
GT. Yeah.
yeah, like I remember like 4 years ago, like when I got on TikTok, I'm like GT didn't have nearly as much views and followers as she has now.
How many is she at?
Just 500,000.
Oh shit. But she's also like she's like literally studies physics, I think.
Yeah, but I don't even think like Dr. Bliss have as much as GT.
Yeah. Maybe Dr. Blitz might have a lot. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Maybe, yeah, no, he's definitely like Dr. Bliss have a decent amount too, but like I'm saying like that consistency in like posting videos and finding interesting topics. Yeah, she's a PhD, so that comes with it. But
Yeah.
like if you're able to because Dean and Parker they also you and AR don't besides the their debates. I feel like you guys should post like regular TikTok content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm working on that. I was gonna post like I was doing a series. I was gonna do like a Mormon series, but like I kind of posted like a trailer to that, and I never got started on it. And then I was gonna do Bible contradictions and post like every single one of those, and I have like a ton.
You can still like respond like attack responses to your video. Get a nice backdrop and like talk about like different contradictions or whatever.
Yeah, I could
But
do
yeah,
more of those.
I'll say that don't if you want to like really blow up, like try to make your shit as airtight as possible. Where you know, I think you shouldn't like say some shit that just like is basically flawed. That like someone could easily like point out the flaw in the comment section, unless you just want to get like clout, like rage.
You know, I should rage bait as much as possible. Like push.
I mean, that could be a method, and then knock it till you try it, I guess. But I mean, like, you just have people just like saying like you don't know shit in the comments and shit. But I mean, that's I mean, all publicity is good. Any publicity is good publicity, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of bad publicity.
Yeah, I mean, you just love the drama, man.
Oh God, these enemies, bro. People be fucking with me.
Yeah, I'm about to go work out in a bit. I'm finally gonna start doing that, so I'm proud of myself. I just moved.
Okay. Honestly, I might go grab some food and yeah, I might call it a day. I might join some other lives and see what's happening.
Yeah. The KK give an argument, give an argument for God,
Oh no, she's atheist.
I'm
or
an
does she give?
atheist.
Do you give an what's your argument that God doesn't exist?
She's contradictory in this
Well,
nothing.
it's contradictory, and quite frankly, it's not for me to make an argument. It's for Christians because I'm not the one making the claim.
Well,
So
let me ask you a question. Do you have knowledge that God does not exist?
I have to have knowledge that God. I'm not the one making the claim that He does exist.
Okay,
I'm not the one.
then
I don't have to prove that. The burden of proof is on
okay, then let
Christians.
me ask another question. Are you agnostic to the proposition that God does exist?
I'm an atheist. Until there's evidence, I'm not going to believe something that there's no evidence
No,
for.
look, I understand your atheist. That's why I'm trying to understand your position. Like, just yes or no. Are you? Let's start again. Are you agnostic to the proposition that God does exist?
No, because there is no evidence.
Is that not?
If there were evidence, I would be agnostic. Now, if they're asking me, would I follow God if He were to exist? I would never follow the
No,
God of the
that
Bible.
wasn't the question.
So,
The question. Okay, so
no,
okay,
I'm just making sure that is forever known
okay, that's fair.
in
That's
there.
fair. That's fair. Now let me try another question again. Let me go back to the first person I asked. Do you have do you have knowledge that God does not exist?
You can't have knowledge that something does not exist. Like you don't. You have to prove that something does exist. I can. I can prove that I exist.
Is
I
that a
can turn on this
no?
camera
I'm not too
and
sure that's a yes
prove
or
that I
no.
exist. They can't do that for God.
I know, and that's fair. I'm
So
not sure that's a yes or no to the question I asked you though.
I'm like, I don't have to. I'm like, because it's a ridiculous question. That's the point.
Okay,
It's ridiculous to ask. Do you have evidence that God doesn't
no,
exist? Because there,
the question
because at the end of the day,
being asked is, do you have
I'm
any
like, you
knowledge?
can't prove something that does not exist
I
does
didn't,
not exist.
that wasn't.
It feels like a philosophical argument, and I don't do get into that.
Coco, what was the question? Didn't wasn't the Coco wasn't the question I asked? Do you have knowledge that God does not exist? Right. That's the question, right?
Well, knowledge, I would assume knowledge is backed by evidence. Is it not?
Some
Do we not go to school
some
to gain
justification, yeah.
knowledge?
Yeah, some justification. That's correct. I don't. It depends how you define that word evidence, I guess. I mean, would you is that an if it's okay? Let's just start here. What's your definition of that word evidence? How do you when you use that word? What do you mean by that?
Something that can be unequivocally proven.
Unequivocally proven.
Like, for example, hold on, I could turn on this camera and prove that I exist.
Mm. Okay.
Hello, I'm a real person.
Mm-hmm.
See how that work? How I prove that I'm a real person? I'm not a bot.
Right.
See how that work?
So when you use that
I'm like,
word,
if you can't do that with, that's evidence.
I say so when you use that word
You see
evidence.
how I proved I'm not a bot?
No, that's fair. So when you use that word evidence, all you really mean there is just to say like something that's empirical, observable, testable,
Yes, that's
repeatable.
exactly what I'm saying.
Right. So is that the only way you understand evidence to be?
It's the only evidence I will accept of a God.
Mm, okay. Um. Well, okay. How do we go from here?
Who's this guy named Ukno? I mean, you can join the panel if you have like some clever arguments for God, but I don't really think you do.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, sometimes I'm at a point where, like, when someone says, I only hold to, like, strict empiricism, and all they really mean to say there's like only thing I understand to be true is like empirics, right?
I want
Mm.
empirical evidence. I want it to be tested, something that I can see, I can touch, that is empirically prove. I want that to be proven.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I guess like I used to be someone that says, no, what this rationale is weird to have. Like it's something that's true, only something that can be testable, repeatable. And I'm not too sure that's the case. Maybe truth can be derived through other means, but um, if truth can be derived through other means, it will still
Well,
feel
that
like
is what I
it will be
define as
subject.
something that is true. Because in the
It's,
real world, that is how we define things. Because here's the thing, we cannot see gravity, but we know it's there. Right? And the reason that we know it's there is because it's tested, it is proven, right? A thousand years ago, they would not know that such thing as gravity existed. But we gained that through empirical testing and knowledge, right? And I'm bringing
mm,
up gravity in the context of God, right? Because that is not something you can see.
all right. Oh, I don't know. As a laughing as a theist, I'm not doing a good job. Like what those like eight coca? What would the theists often say? Like when they say empiricism is not the best way? Because I'm not
What's
even
in
convinced of it myself. What like I'm not convinced what the theist will say to this. Like, yeah, maybe. What about when we talk about like moral virtue? Oh, that's void.
I don't
Well,
know.
first
That's,
of all, I just refuse to listen
hey,
to a Christian talk
void,
to me about morality.
void.
When someone
When
says like what's the alternative other than like
like
empiricism?
no, because void when someone says that the only hold to empiricism, what's the issue with that? I actually want to like I want to like remind
Oh,
myself.
okay.
Yeah.
So so the issue here is like they're gonna be the types that are gonna be say empiricism is not the best way for truth or whatever, simply
Yeah.
because of like some form of like wisdom in a sense, right?
All
Because you
right.
don't necessarily need wisdom for empiricism, but they're equivocating that to truth. And so this is where you can also get like the intuition types, where like you need to experience things for yourself. You only know things by experiencing them. So that's the other version of that.
Yeah, but like I'm at the point, like in the past, I would agree with you, but I'm at the point where someone like say like KK right here would say, hey, only thing that's true to me is what's empirical. I'm at the point where I'm not even sure I disagree with her at times. Like
Hmm. Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
an empiricist. I'm like a rationalist or something. So
Oh,
I
you're a
could
rationalist? Really?
or like maybe I don't know say
Are you
maybe,
sure? You don't think?
Well, I think anything that cannot be empirically proven and you believing it, I believe that's irrational.
yeah, like
So,
maybe not just like strict rational. I don't want to commit myself to any view, but I just don't think truths can be is reducible to just like empiricism, right?
Well, okay. I would say like empiricism at most is just going to be like justified true belief.
Yeah,
So like you're justified in your claims, right? But that doesn't mean I don't think I don't
like
think you have to like commit yourself to like just empiricism for truth. You can like
like
have
but are they? But
basic
is
belief.
the claim of God justified? Is it really?
yeah. It that's again that's based on the definition. Like if you like example, I think what's going on here is like when someone runs tag on me and they say, hey, and they say, well, how do you account for stuff like logic and knowledge and truth in your worldview? Like how do you how are you able to speak words and stuff like that? The empiricist clearly doesn't know what's being said here. You know, the empiricists just think of they're just anomalous about this kind of of these notions. They just view these things to be concepts, language, and they just talk. Right. So someone that runs tag and like someone that runs tag and like the empiricists are just clearly just not seeing eye to eye.
Right.
So like, but at the same time, like I don't think like the person that run tag is at fault in their like way of thinking, and I don't also think the empiricist is also at fault in their way of thinking.
So, you know, Joe Foley,
Uh,
he talked about how like when someone who runs tag, there's like this virtuous circle, right? Like God grounds rationality, rationality grounds God, and it's stable, right? I have like to like empiricists, right?
grounded. Like what? Like they use
Oh
words
no,
like
no,
truth and
the
knowledge.
metaphysics. You can get to You can get from epistemology to metaphysics, but you can't get metaphysics to epistemology. You can't use metaphysics to prove the epistemics.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You can use metaphysics with epistemics,
Right,
but
but you can if you run tag.
but
Y-
look, maybe what I'm wondering here is, does the strict empiricist novelist, right?
Yeah.
Are they justified in their view and saying, "Hey, I don't see you like I I don't I view stuff like logic just to be language and numbers and
Oh, okay.
like these things don't need grounding. They're just the way of the world."
I think okay. So this is why I'm a structural realist, right? So I think reality in of itself has patterns, and that's just part of reality, right? So this is particularly why I'm a structural realist, because patterns would have amounts, and then we can label those amounts with numbers. So
Mm-hmm.
like the same goes with logic, right? So the empiricists can just say they are a structural realist and say that they're observing reality in patterns, and we're using logic and math in order to describe those patterns. So that they can be justified in their belief and also like
Yeah, but
grounded.
when someone that's running like someone that believes in like transcendentals and universals, patterns and logic and numbers come from.
Yeah, so the numbers and logic is going to come from us labeling the patterns we see in reality.
All right. So, what like if they were to ask if this transcendentalist they were to ask you like, what, why, how do you account for reality being like intelligible versus unintelligible, or like
Oh,
logical versus illogical? Like, what would the
I don't actually. I don't think reality in of itself is that intelligible.
Wait,
oh
actually,
this- like I want
you're
to say like logical, like following the classical laws. Like if someone does
Oh, the laws of
run
logic.
into
Oh, that's just going to be labeling reality, right? We can see that like dog is a dog, car is a car. These two are different things. These two are distinct. We can see that.
and
So we're
also
labeling that, describing reality. It's a
could
description of reality. Like red is a description of apple, but that doesn't mean red in of itself is real.
yeah.
also
I
really
mean,
quick. Could someone start a live? Because I might go and grab some food and stuff. But
Hmm.
Well, I can't go live yet. Well, because I can't verify my account yet. Um. So, anyone else?
Bobby, you
I'm
got this.
so
no,
I'm
I'm good. I think I'm at the point where like if someone tells me yeah, empiricist, I actually don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think that's just the view now.
Or Jester, you've got this. Time for
All
you
right, you
to
guys.
answer.
I'm still working on the prompt, and I still don't know what I want to talk about.
Oh. Oh wait,
Coco,
you're actually planning to go
why,
live?
why are you smiling at that, bro? What are you about to do? What are you about to get into?
I'm about to go on a walk with a friend and like grab some
Uh,
food.
like, you smiling so, I don't know, like, lady
Oh
friend?
no.
Sure.
Yeah.
all right, all right, all right, later. All right,
All
man,
right.
later, bro.
I'll see you guys around.
AR is live right now.